host for Tooney Town Wrestling, Marvin Movie Monster.
Oh, it's good to be back. We are live. It is Tooney Talk Wrestling, and we are jam-packed. Well, not jam-packed. We got a really small panel tonight for now, but we have, our normal panelists are on their way. And we are set. We got 71 people here. Very excited. Welcome back, guys. I hope you all had a great WrestleMania weekend. And we are going to talk about everything there is to talk about regarding WrestleMania, regarding the, all of the Tony Khan prolonged hissy fit that took place for a week, and everything in between. So let me introduce my esteemed panelists first. Coming to us, you know him, maybe you love him, maybe you hate him, maybe you get this guy off the show, but I'm not gonna because I like him. Evil Dose, my friend, how are you?
What is up, everyone? I'm rocking my Danhausen shirt. This was pre-AEW days, nothing personal, but I just want to let everyone know I support indie wrestling. I had my O'Shea, shirt on a couple weeks back, and now I got this one going on. So
I'm turning my back on you.
It's okay. Very evil still is, very nice, but evil has to support evil.
Okay, I will accept that. Okay, mostly just because I like you and I think you bring a lot to the show. All right, and joining us, a special guest this week, folks. You know him from the world of Twitter, formerly known as Vince McMahon's Thoughts, currently known, much like the actual WWE. We are trying to replace Vince McMahon with Triple H, currently known as Triple H Thoughts. Hello, my friend. How are you doing today?
Thanks, guys. It's great to be here. It's going to be a great night. It's going to be a great show. It's a great panel.
What was that little voice you did when you first came out?
That was the Tony. Thanks, guys.
Oh, that was the Tony. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Sorry. Boy, it's been a long day already, and the night has just begun. All right. So, before we get into the nitty gritty of it, Triple H Thoughts, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you started your account, how you started with Vince McMahon Thoughts, the move to Triple H Thoughts. Obviously, I think we know why. But, walk us through and the explosion of success that you kind of saw. You routinely get retweeted by Jim Cornette. He shouts you out at his podcast sometimes. You get retweeted by Eric Bischoff, Disco Inferno. So yeah, walk us through how that kind of all came to be.
Right. Well, I started making fun of WWE by saying things I thought Vince would say, like 7.5 years ago. And it really, nobody cared. It didn't get any traction. Most WWE fans don't care when you make fun of it, And when AEW started, I was a fan of it, but it gave me so much more to joke about. Even things I personally liked, I could joke about as Vince. And the account started to grow. People laughed, and as time went on, in my opinion, AEW got harder and harder to watch as it veered further away from their original mission. And Tony became so lame and annoying and divisive. And that made the jokes and the criticisms even easier to make. And the more jokes or critiques I made, the more my account grew. And of course, I get the people that have to be mad and offended because they disagree with me. And you know how it is. They have to attack
you.
Right.
How dare you have an opinion on something?
Yeah, they attack you, not your
argument.
It. Yeah, it's never the argument, it's you. And just for having a different opinion. And it's with everything. It's wrestling, politics, sports, video games, movies. People lose their minds. They go from zero to pissed instantaneously. And, they can't laugh or just keep scrolling, which oddly enough grows the account more. So,
yeah, I mean, I remember your account was one of the first big ones that I really started to follow, and it always made me laugh. I remember the first time that I posted a song parody and you retweeted it with "That's good shit, pal." I was like, I've made it. I've made it now. I can,
it's funny because I would say for, I don't know, maybe the last 2 or 3 years, the account got bigger, but for the first 3-4 years, I had a couple hundred followers. It wasn't really much. But just slowly but surely, the more I made jokes, people agreed with it. You know what I mean? Whether or not I was being serious or not, people they watch AEW. And even if you're a fan of it, most of the time it was satire, but kind of obvious too. And there are times where I'll treat, it's obvious I'm tweeting my own thoughts,
right,
but it doesn't change the fact that what I'm saying is, a wrestling fan's take. And, once the Vince McMahon lawsuit went absolutely bonkers in the last few months, obviously it was a bad look to keep it. Even if I wanted to, it's just a bad look, and
I understand.
And I made the switch to Triple H. So now sometimes it's a parody, many times it's me, but either way, I'm just here to have fun. And I don't argue with people.
As we all should. I mean, my mentality has always been, we need to be able to laugh at ourselves, laugh at the things that we like, and just like not take ourselves so seriously as fans of something. I mean, that's kind of like the point of, my channel when I started it. I'm sure it's the point of your channel. You're just trying to bring a little levity into the situation, right?
Well, it's funny because even when I make comments about WWE, not as much, obviously. It's been on fire and I like it better, but I do make comments. And even when I make the random off the cuff joke or comment at the expense of a DIY or Damian Priest or whatever, I still get hate from, random people that don't understand I'm either just kidding or,
Right.
It's not that serious. And, the more people rant and rave and get mad, I don't argue with people. I don't get in back and forths with people. They're entitled to their opinions too.
Absolutely. That's good. That's a good way to put it.
I don't let it bother me. People attack me all the time. I kind of laugh about it. It actually makes me want to do it more because I'm kind of like that. But I'm just here to have a good time. I love, people love to call the IWC toxic, but honestly, the group of guys that are involved in this show, for instance, everyone's just joking and having a good time. They're not the lunatics. They're not the ones threatening people's families and trying to find out who they are and what they look like and where they live. We're just It's wrestling. It's really not that serious.
Absolutely. We got the super chats rolling in already. $10 from Colin Taylor. Thank you so much. To try taking Evil Dose's advice on liquor consumption, but I had to quit when my blood alcohol content was being confused with my A1C. Dose, you are giving poor advice to our listeners.
I'm giving him excellent advice. He just needs to build up.
Right. You gotta man up, Colin. You gotta man up. All right. So I mean, obviously, and we're super thrilled to have you with us. Triple H thoughts. I'm just gonna start calling you Paul.
Just call me Trips. How about that?
Well, I mean, that's kind of a copywritten phrase around here, but yeah, no, I'll call you that. But yeah, so we got so much to talk about this week. We got WrestleMania, and I mean, look, obviously he's going to come out and be like, this was the greatest WrestleMania of all time. But I mean, like, I do think this one was up there. I think this one might have been an argument for WrestleMania only being one night again. I don't know. Dose, what do you think about that?
I don't think it's ever going to be one night again. As far
you
as
can't go backwards. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, there's just too much money. There's too much in the 5-day event. If anything, it'll go a week. But as far as it being the greatest WrestleMania of all time, I can see the argument because I think as far as spectacles is concerned, as far as the greatest wrestling story over 2 nights culminating, yes. As far as the rest of the card, I'm not sure there was that much else that was particularly memorable. But as far, if you go back and watch old WrestleManias, which is something I don't do, but other people do, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe how bad this match is. But every now and then you stumble upon one anyway. Like I saw when they were doing the Road Warriors documentary on Dark Side of the Ring with Hawk and how bad that Money Inc. versus the Road Warriors match was. And so it's always sort of been that way. But as far as spectacle is concerned and the stars and the, like I heard of almost all of the rappers that were there, so that's something.
Well, you had one over on me then, because every single person they were like, "Oh, look at." I mean, I knew who Lil Wayne was, but mostly every single, and I know who Snoop Dogg is, obviously. But every like celebrity they cut to, they're like, "Oh, look, it's McGee Montague," and I was like, "Who? Like what the heck?" Like it all starts sounding like gibberish to me. I don't know if that's just me getting older or what, but
no, it is. But no, I know what you're to be because when they were doing that quick 5, like 6 different celebrities. Yeah, the only name I recognized was Vanessa Hudgens. I don't know who the woman who was next to her, but I knew who the 2 football players were. I mean, once they were unmasked.
I did not. You guys had to explain that to me. I was like, guys, who are these large gringos and what are they doing in the ring?
Right. It's a Taylor Swift adjacent guy.
Yes. Taylor Swift. Okay, so he was adjacent to Taylor's boyfriend, the Go Taylor's boyfriend meme.
Yes, her boyfriend is Travis Kelce. That was Jason Kelce, his brother.
Okay, that is as close to football talk as we are ever going to get on this show. I promise. Exactly. Okay, Trip. What do you think about the the legacy of where this WrestleMania falls, kind of in all, in the grand scheme of WrestleManias?
In the grand scheme, I think there's 2 ways of looking at it, right? Like the spectacle, the sheer size, the money, the fans, all that. I mean, yeah, that's the biggest. It also depends how you look at the card, right? Because I think Triple H brought back a different way of But night one was clearly not as good as night two, but that was, I think, done intentionally by design, right? You're building and building towards this final story, and everyone goes home. What do they remember? What happened at the end, right? So people look at the culmination of this story and the main event and sending everyone home happy. That makes it so much easier to just be like, this was the best thing ever. Whereas if you're just looking to churn out, bangers, as people like to say, and throw out great match after great match, they all kind of get mixed in with one another. And actually, it kind of, to me, takes away from the 2-day aspect of this, because it's just overload, right? Overload on your senses. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like it was intentionally done where night one was slowly building to night two, because they know, I mean, I can't imagine anybody buying tickets to only night one, right? So if you're there,
I'm sure they exist, but yeah, I don't know what the need would be to buy one night of WrestleMania tickets.
And if you were going to buy one night, wouldn't you want to buy night two, where the real main event is happening?
Yeah,
I
mean, you look at it. I think when you look at the spectacle of like what you're saying about like what the last thing you see is what you go home with. I saw it as like I recently for the Facelock feature, or not Facelock feature, the WrestleMania retrospective video that we did on the channel here. I watched WrestleMania 1, 10, 20, and 30 to get ready for this one. And 10, 20, and 30 all ended pretty much the same way. The workhorse babyface that has never really gotten his due is now your champion, and he's being hoisted up by the people, and it was a great thing. And I remember after, I didn't watch WrestleMania 10 live, but I remember after seeing WrestleMania 20 live and seeing WrestleMania 30 live, I mean not in person, like on my couch, I was like, wow, this was the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And then I remember, now I go back and I watch it and I'm like, oh, these shows weren't very good actually. Like WrestleMania 30 especially, there was nothing memorable about that except for the Daniel Bryan matches.
Right.
Well, and the Undertaker streak match that never happened.
Right. But the thing about it is, though, let's just reverse it, right? Let's just say all the other matches were awesome, and you get to the main event.
Oh, my goodness.
Uh-oh, what's that?
What's going on? Have they finally found you, Dose?
It's ice. They're coming in.
Yeah, but so let's say you flip it and have a card stacked with great matches, and then you get to the main event, the match that everyone's been most looking forward to. And the match is terrible, or the ending sucks, and it sends people home with a sour.
Just make sure all the AR-15s are armed.
Dose, okay? you are not muted. There we go. Now you are.
But you send people home with a sour taste in their mouth. To me, that takes away from the experience, right? You pay all this money for something that everyone knows is a form of entertainment, and yeah, there's stories, and you don't always have to give everyone what they want. But on the biggest show of the year, if you send everyone home with a match where the ending just sucks, or you're mad about it, that could take away from the rest of the show. Whereas if the rest of the show was kind of mediocre, but you're building and you get to that main event and you get the payoff that we got with Cody, I mean, even if you were rooting for Roman to continue this thing, there's nobody that was leaving that show going, man, that ending sucked, or I'm kind of mad that happened. It just didn't happen.
I was building to a joke there. I was going to say,
I'm sorry, you were interrupting our guest with your joke, but
that's true.
But I didn't.
I wanted to make it like it was a neckbeard alert, and we had to make sure everything was loaded.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, I didn't even hear that it was a joke. I thought that you had just accidentally taken yourself off of mute.
No,
so,
you
sorry. I'm sorry for stepping on your joke, my friend.
It's okay. I was interrupting a guest for a joke that probably nobody would have thought was funny except me.
We got some super chats. Shaggy Filth 73 says, "Am I the only idiot? I expect Tooney Triple H when I heard Triple H was a special guest." Da-da-na, da-da-na, done.
Him.
Yes, him.
This week it's them.
Maybe stay tuned. You never know what might happen on the show.
There might be some imposter syndrome. There might be some confusion. There might be that Spider-Man gif. They're both.
I agree. JPS says, I did not think night one was as bad besides the Uso match, but night two blew it out of the park by far. I mean, that is true. The Uso match was flaming garbage. But look, we'll talk about that at length because I have a lot I got to say about that. But yeah, night two obviously far superior to night one. And Colin checking in again. Thank you so much. $10 says, they said the greatest rapper of all time, and I was expecting MC Hammer. Lil Wayne didn't have a Taco Bell commercial nor a Saturday morning cartoon. # just saying. He's not wrong on that one. I mean, I knew who MC Hammer was.
I don't know. Skip Bayless loving Lil Wayne kind of disqualifies Lil Wayne for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that would come up before Lil Wayne would enter into my headspace on that one.
Am I the only one who heard him when he started rapping and thought he was whining? Like the high-pitched voice was killing me. I know he's popular. I know he's super famous. But man, when he started rapping, oof.
Here's the thing with the rap, though. I thought that it was I didn't think it was bad because they didn't stop it to do a musical guest like they always do, and because I hate that. The fact that he was just part of an entrance, I think worked really well, and I like that they used so many live bands for entrances this time around. It was a good take. I liked it a lot. James Smith says, sorry for my negativity in the last chat stream. Will Cody's popularity last? Can you understand why some fans don't like him and his story? Never apologize for negativity, my friend. It is your opinion, and your opinion is valid. I think I even pointed that out in that stream where I was just like, look, I pointed out your opinion because you did not like this WrestleMania, and I was like, this is a valid opinion, and no one deserves to be attacked for their opinion. Will Cody's popularity last? That's a good. Now, had he won last year? No. I think that by now we'd be getting let's go Cody. Cody sucks. But the fact that they drew this out for another year, the fact that they built this entire story around him, the fact that they're now building this era around him, I don't know. I don't see them turning on him that quickly. What do you guys? What do you think, Dose?
You know what? I've often said at some point people are going to realize he's just Cody and it's not all that interesting. But I don't think they're going to turn quickly because they planted the seeds on what was otherwise a fairly unremarkable Raw. Whatever The Rock passed into his hand, I mean, that whether that's a MacGuffin or it's something, that's going to keep people wondering for a while. And so, you're getting The Rock and Cody interaction somewhere down the road within the next 3 or 4 months after he finishes shooting a movie. So we're not going to turn on him before then. And people are going to turn on him, are going to turn anyways. I mean, I don't think, wrestling promoters don't really mind so much if the crowd and the IWC turns on someone and boos them, as long as they get a reaction. Apathy is what they don't want. I think they're perfectly happy when half the crowd, chants Rocky and the other half chants Cody. And the same with Punk and
I agree with you. And I remember a quote from John Cena where he said that like one of his opponents one time was referring to the "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" chants, and he was like, "John, does that bother you?" And he goes, "No, it should bother you because they were only chanting for me. Like both halves of that crowd were chanting for me, and none of them were chanting for you." So, and I was like, "Wow, John Cena gets it. John Cena is obviously a guy who gets it." But I think that we saw for a very long time that at least when it was Vince, he had the ability, he would dig his heels in, man, and he'd be like, no, like John Cena is not turning heel. And with Cena, I understood. He did so much Make-A-Wish stuff. His merchandise was the biggest seller like ever. So, you had to keep him babyface. Otherwise the merch sales would suffer. And then you had Roman, like when Roman was a babyface and they tried to just jam him down our throats. I remember I said, the second you turn Roman heel, he's a babyface. And that's what happened. Everybody started to love him the second he went heel because he was a cool heel. Just cool heel.
I think at this point, Cody has so much goodwill built up with just as the face of the company, and people were along for the ride. And the fans today are not the same as they were when Cena took over 10 and 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Right. They're kind of conditioned to like, this is the good guy. And there's a reason he's a good guy. And there's a reason you should root for him. There's always going to be the smart fans or the, mostly grown men that are going to get tired of this real fast. But I mean, realistically, I could see Cody easily, just continuing the ride. They could put some challenges in front of him. I do think the difference now is if the fans start to kind of turn, Triple H and he's smart enough to see what's going on and he'll adjust the character accordingly. That was the biggest knock on Cena. For 10 years, his character never changed. There was no signs of just acknowledging what's going on in his character and just tweaking something a little bit. I think Triple H will do that if it's needed.
And I remember Paul Heyman when Brock first came back. Heyman was pitching, like out in the open, pitching an idea where he was like when Brock squashed Cena in their first match, and he was like, hustle, loyalty, and respect is not enough to defeat Brock Lesnar. You have to tap into something else. And unfortunately, that never happened. So awful wrestling, my friend. Welcome. He is here, and he is proving some stereotypes true, folks. Late.
How did I know that was going to happen? How's everybody doing tonight?
Oh, doing well. We were on time and, started the show at 8 p.m. Like, it was great.
I made a new friend.
All right. Yes, indeed.
Dose has made a new friend, which, people usually flee from him. So, I mean, that's a good thing. But yes, awful. Better late than never, right? So welcome to the show. Welcome on, my friend. How was your WrestleMania
Can I make a point about
weekend?
Cody? Well, before I forget it, because I'm very old.
Okay.
All right. I mean, so one thing about Cody is what's not to like about him. Actually, I mean, if anything, it'd be me. He's not big enough. But he's Dusty Rhodes' son. He came into the business. He had to earn his teeth. He had ridiculous gimmicks. He bet on himself. Went on to the Indies. Went to Ring of Honor and Impact and all of that other stuff. New Japan. He bet on himself again and did create AEW. Then he made another brave choice when he, hitched his wagon to AEW and it wasn't working out for him, even though it still sort of was working out for him, but it wasn't working out the way he thought. And he wanted to be in a different environment. And he bet on himself going to WWE, and he trusted Vince, who, let's face it, some people who trusted Vince, it worked out really well. And some people trusted Vince, not so much. And he bet on himself again. So he keeps betting on himself. I mean, so he's from a historic family. He plays the babyface wonderfully. Whenever he turns heel, it's going to be vicious. He's going to be a savage heel. So the only people who wouldn't like him are either the ones who really think he betrayed AEW and AEW, whatever the reasons, let him down somehow, or me, who just think he's too small.
Right. You think he's too small?
You think he's too small?
Oh, did you see him and Seth next to the Rock and Roman? Oh my God, it was like
well,
Marvel.
The Rock's not even human. That guy is roided out of his gills. Oh my God.
Well, yeah, you can't compare a normal human being to the Rock. I mean, he didn't need a
Rock is
body
twice
suit
as big
for Black
now as
Adam.
when he was an active wrestler.
Right.
Yeah,
because they don't
Cody,
they don't steroid test in Hollywood. That's why.
Yeah, but I'm the sizest here. I'm the group sizest.
Are you the group size? Okay, I was wondering what your role was on the show.
I think the biggest thing that Cody has to worry about is, man, he can't cry every freaking week. Okay.
Yes,
that gets old real
the
fast.
crying has to stop. The crying
You can't
does
cry
have to
every
stop.
week. All right, you had your moment. Let's move on. No more my daddy this and crying every week.
That story is told now. Now it's time for Cody to stand on his own without mentioning his father every 2 seconds. He finished the story. He won the belt. He presented it to his mother for his father. And I think now it's time to move on. And now Cody has got to be his own man here. And I agree. So John JID said, the ladies blew my expectations out of the water on both nights. I was hoping for some crazy AAA flying around the ring match with the luchadors. The ladies blew awful on that night too, but they ended up with a hole in the back of the head and not a 5-star match. But sorry, was that too crass?
Well, it depends which match you're talking about. I thought that the two title matches were actually good. I know that people were giving Rhea and Becky grief, but I don't think so. I thought it was perfectly fine.
Oh, I thought it was a great match. I thought they had a good match. Apparently, one of them had strep throat, I think.
Becky, yeah.
Yeah, Becky had strep throat. I thought it was great. And look, was it as good as Charlotte and Rhea? No. And I don't think anyone expected it to be, because that match was like a once in a lifetime kind of like unbelievable match. But Becky and Io was out of this world.
Yeah,
that was a great match.
And look, I have never really bought into Io Sky as women's champion. I mean, look, I have nothing against her as a wrestler. I think she's good. I never really got why she was the one they went with, and then they proved it. They proved it to me why.
Yeah, she's great
in night 2, because she was fantastic in that match, and I really liked her the promo she did in the studio, where she was just kind of slowly speaking Japanese, kind of doing the kind of promos that Nakamura's been doing, where it's just kind of just him in the camera and he just speaks Japanese with the subtitles. Is just something so awesome about that to me, and maybe it's just because I'm a weeb, but. George Captain $10 says, I have to know what y'all think that Vince is going to do with all this money. Vince has 1.2 billion in cash. I think he's going to swim in it like Scrooge McDuck. That's the thing that happened today, though.
On Wednesday night.
I think it's all making its way to Switzerland, Grand Cayman, the Seychelles, and countries that don't care.
Look, I
gotta go somewhere where there's no extradition.
Yeah, I know that the guy has nothing outside of his work. He's always kind of been that workaholic guy who doesn't like taking vacations, 3 a.m. meetings with all the writers and all that stuff. But I mean, look how old you are now. You've got more money than you could spend if you were 20 years old right now. So just go somewhere and relax. You've got a lot of legal battles coming up, and yeah, I mean, and we're gonna find out a lot of stuff. He's probably gonna be very, very stressed. I don't know, but he's fighting back. Which I found, which I mean, we all know Vince loves to fight. So You know, we'll see how that goes.
I'm not surprised at all about the fight, but I tell you one thing: he's got a plan B, and I'm telling you, I'm only a little bit joking about Suriname. I am sure he's already got a couple platoons on retainer. He's contacted Frontier Services, which is what Blackwater is known by now, and he's got a private army setting up Venezuela, someplace where the weather is nice.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I thought was interesting was apparently he's using the attorney who just beat WWE for MLW.
Why not?
Oh shit!
Yeah. So I mean, that's really well, yeah. Well, you know, at the end of the day, you know what's his face? Jerry McDivitt's retired, and I'm sure he's unplugged his phone. You know, since all this went down, like because he got him out of jail one time, but I don't think he's gonna make it again. But
I, for one, am happy to see him go, and my stocks are happy as well.
Yes, I want him as far away from this as humanly possible.
Right.
I agree with you on that. I think that you can't discount what he did in the wrestling business. You can't discount, starting WrestleMania, buying the company from his father. But I mean, you even looking beyond the lawsuit stuff for the last decade, he has been so out of touch with what's he's so ahead of the game regarding what's coming up technology wise or television production wise, but so completely out of touch. Having Roman Reigns say "suffer and succotash." I know what they want. The kids love those Looney Tunes. That'll help.
Right.
I mean,
it didn't make any sense.
It was ridiculous, and the fact that people still talk about the "suffer and succotash" promo is horrible. We got another super chat here. Christopher O'Torres, $10 says, "Hi Marvin, what are your thoughts on WrestleMania's attendance record? Do you think it's legit this time? And thanks for liking and sharing my memes on the app formerly known as Twitter." You are very welcome, Christopher. Thank you for the super chat. Okay, so what do I think? Whether I think it's legit, I don't know. I mean, I tend to go by WrestleTix, and WrestleTix was quoting 69,000. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's a made up number? I would be the biggest hypocrite on earth if I just took them at their word for it, because I'm always screaming about how Tony Khan keeps citing the made up 81,000 number, even though the government in the UK has said that's not true.
I don't think they're going to risk having somebody research the actual number. I think the number is the number. They're a publicly traded company. I think they wouldn't, I don't think they're in the business of inflating the number, because they already know people are going to be out there researching it anyway. So it might as well make it legit.
I agree 100%. And we know that the arenas, the stadiums can hold that capacity. And I personally know people who went there to go buy tickets. So it's entirely possible. And the numbers aren't so, I mean, WrestleTix is always a picture in time, and it's always going to be a little behind real time. So I absolutely believe it. It's not like they were that outrageous, but the risk of coming up with the wrong number it would just be so embarrassing, even if there are three tickets under the turnstile count in Wembley. And now everybody knows what a turnstile count, and even the people who are denying what a turnstile count, most of them know in their hearts that the turnstile count is every ticket scanned, and everybody who goes and has a ticket scanned that doesn't work for the place. So, I think it's real. The numbers weren't that outrageous. I mean, maybe it'll turn out it's wrong, but people doing Freedom of Information Act requests on local governments and stadium authorities and hundreds of different, so it would come out. So why make it any different than what the truth is? Because whatever it is, you go ahead. Sorry.
Is that why the WrestleMania 3 number is so disputed? I've never understood where the dispute came from about that. And to be fair, I've never actually looked into it, so I'm not really sure. But where did that come from? Was it just Meltzer said it and everybody? My one friend was just like, "Oh, Meltzer said it," and everybody just kind of went with it. But I'm not sure where that came from.
That number came from Meltzer.
Originally,
I think Meltzer said it was 78,000, didn't he?
He did, and then somebody went back to the local governments and whoever ran the stadium, and it turned out it was in the 80s. So
wait, if it was in the 80s, then how is Tony Khan touting All In as the biggest show of all time?
Tickets sold. That's the difference. What I was going to say was,
okay,
they're talking about the WrestleMania attendance from this weekend, 72 and change each night. That's the attendance. They never said 72,000 tickets sold, right? So say they sold 69 or 70,000. There could easily be 2,000 comps in the building.
But it's the same thing in AEW. Everybody comps tickets, and it's tickets distributed. So I don't think that's no. It's the reason why is because Dave Meltzer, the useful idiot, is Tony Khan's source of valid information, just like most of the fans. I mean, all the things, going back to when they first came on. Oh, Turner is thrilled with 500,000 people. Oh, well, everybody's sure that they're thrilled with 500,000 people. Let's ignore that. It's no longer the same people at Turner. It's not even the same company that owns Turner any longer. And the second you break 500,000 and you start with 1.4 million, the expectations go up. You're no longer happy with if you make $1 million a year and then you make $500,000 next year, you're not happy with $500,000 anymore.
Right. And that's why people lose me when they talk about like, oh, you got to wait. No company is profitable in its first couple of years. Yeah. But most of those companies that are heading toward profitability see growth year over year. And like, he says that, revenue is up or whatever like that. But we don't know how much he's putting out. We don't know how much, obviously if the most disingenuous argument that I've heard is, oh, well, there's more pay-per-view buys. I said, really? You know why? There are more pay-per-views. Like they went from like 5 to 8 pay-per-views. Like, of course, pay-per-view buys are going to go up. Let's look at the, the average, per pay-per-view, how many people are buying. That's gone down. Right. So that's the ultimate disingenuous argument. Right. But I don't want to talk about AEW yet. We should. I want to go through the card from WrestleMania 40 and just each give very quick thoughts on each match and just kind of how you would rate it. I mean, don't give stars. Give something else. Give whatever you want to give, but don't make it stars because that'll. All right. Rey Mysterio and Andrade versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. Dose, what do you got?
It was fine. I mean, it was pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be. That was my dark horse where there was going to be the heel turn, and there wasn't. But I said I was wrong all along, and the faces were designed to win this one. So this was, of course, the match where they would do the slingshot moves and where you had the football players and luchador masks. And this was your fun match. Faces high, and it plays into the Dominic is sort of making other friends without authorization. I thought the match was fun. A couple of fun spots for those people who never saw that slingshot of I'm not sure if it's Cruz or Del Toro, but whoever they slingshot there. That's the moment I knew Carlito wasn't turning, is because he was taking part in the slingshot with a smile on his face. But it was fun. Yeah. I thought it was a fun, happy match for the crowd.
All right, Trip. What did you think of this match?
Yeah, I kind of agree. To me, it was just kind of there. You knew what to expect. There'd be some high-flying action. You get the crowd hitting on Dom. Rey Mysterio is a superstar, obviously. People love him. It just kind of was what it was. I wasn't expecting too much. The story didn't really do it for me. I feel like they just kind of threw Dom and Rey back together a year later just because, out of nowhere.
Dom getting involved in this was weird to me. Like, it just kind of came out of nowhere, like just because.
Out of nowhere, right.
I guess, what did they think there wasn't enough star power, or I don't know.
I was almost expecting Andrade to turn on Rey, right?
I was definitely expecting that. I was expecting it to be Carlito or Andrade. Especially if the Dragon Lee.
I thought Andrade being paired up with a guy like Dom, seeing beforehand the Judgment Days having their issues, and maybe Dom kind of goes his own way and splits off with Andrade, and that gives Andrade additional heat that he never would have had. He just came back. People were kind of excited, but yeah, it's Andrade. And you put him with Dom, and especially if he turns on Rey, I thought that could have been nuclear heat coming out of WrestleMania.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. See, now, I thought, Awful, what do you got for this match?
I can add no more to it. I think both Trips and Dose have elaborated beautifully on that match. House show match. That's my thoughts.
Okay. Yeah. See, I was a little disappointed in this one, mostly because I was expecting this to be like a AAA lucha. I mean, one of our super chats said it earlier. I thought this was going to be a AAA lucha flying around the ring, like lucha rules. So we're doing a tag scramble, everybody running in when they had to run in. And it just kind of wasn't that. It was just kind of like a normal, like WWE style Rey Mysterio match. And, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I can't dislike it. Because, and this is the thing I say about movies all the time. Like, if I think a movie is like one thing because I've like, worked myself into a shoot here, and then I get mad that it's not that thing when it never was to begin with, then I can't honestly get mad about that,
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was definitely okay. All right, Bianca, Naomi, and Jade Cargill versus Damage Control, Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane, aka the Race War. What did you guys think of this one? You know what? I'm gonna let Awful start this one off because he can say things that we can't.
Wait, I'm not going to say anything racial. The match was fine. I don't know if you guys have noted this or not, but Mark Henry was really upset with Kairi Sane over staying inside the ring while the ladies were the Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi were entering into the ring. Did you guys catch that at all?
Yeah, Mark was very mad.
Yeah, I did not catch that.
Oh yeah, he was on the radio, his podcast, and he was talking about how Kairi Sane was disrespectful to the business because she stayed in 2 seconds longer in the ring as their opponents were making their entrance. I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, but as far as the match, it was what it was. Again, it was a showcase for Jade Cargill to, get a WrestleMania moment. And I thought the match was fine. That entrance, though, Jesus Christ! I mean, I didn't understand Bianca, Jade, and Naomi's entrance at all. I mean, I think it was supposed to have a look to it, but they just didn't execute well.
It felt like there was a vision there, but
right.
But no one really knew what the vision was.
Mm-hmm.
Like it kind of got lost in the shuffle somewhere. I agree. And look, I think they used Jade perfectly in this match. They gave her the hot tag. She came in, she cleaned house.
Mm-hmm.
The girls bumped their butts off for her. And, as they should. I mean, I said the other day, she needs to be Girlberg, they've got to just keep her strong. Like nobody should bump her. Like again, for a very long time. Like the match she had with Chelsea Green, those are the matches she needs to have for the foreseeable future until they're comfortable enough with her in the ring. Because I still think she's a little lost out there. I still think she's a little stiff out there. She's a little confused at times. I think you can kind of see it register on her face, but she looks like a star. I mean, it is I don't want to say it's the definition of all sizzle and no steak, but I mean, it's kind of all sizzle and no steak right now. But I mean, I think she will get better. I mean, we've seen people get better before, like from that came in and they just kind of like looked. I don't think she's the second coming of the masterpiece. Let me put it that way, if that makes sense. Because the masterpiece. I mean, I heard a story one time that before Raw started, Triple H was working out with a bunch of the young guys in the ring, and he locks up with Chris Masters, and he puts him in the top, and he locks up with him, and he goes, "Okay, top wrist lock," and he goes, "I don't know what that is."
Oh shit.
And Triple H just left the ring. He stormed out of the ring. So, and I believed the person who told me this. So yeah, I think that she has a good enough grasp on the basics, and I think that we're going to see over time her get a lot better. Trip, what do you think about this 6-woman tag match?
I think the match served the purpose that it was put out there for. They got to get more girls on the card. They got Jade. She wasn't out there by herself, wandering aimlessly. She had help. I honestly thought their post WrestleMania presser interview was more entertaining than the match. Those girls were laughing their asses off and having a ball. One thing I did take from it is, we all see how big Jade is. She's an amazing athlete. She's huge. She's muscular. She looks fantastic. Then you put her right next to Bianca. Bianca's the same size. Yeah. I mean, if you look at them side by side, maybe Jade's got half an inch to an inch on her, and Bianca is jacked.
Yeah.
So it actually made me realize how much bigger Bianca is than I thought she was.
I was at a friend's house for night one, and I remember when Bianca came out, my friend's wife was like, "Wow, her abs!" She's shredded. That woman is shredded. She's so strong. I mean, she really is the EST gimmick. It really is the truth. She really is the strongest, fastest, biggest. She was the biggest, but not anymore.
Right.
But I think that you got to keep Bianca looking strong for the next year, because now you've got Bianca undefeated at WrestleMania, and I think a lot of people are overlooking that she's now undefeated at WrestleMania. And you could have a new streak here. And then you've got, and I don't think they should do that. I think that might be best left just to the Undertaker and leave the memories alone kind of thing. But I think that now you've gotten Rhea, who has beaten Charlotte and Becky, WrestleMania to WrestleMania. The match next year is Rhea and Bianca.
Oh yeah,
no doubt. That's a main event. That's a night one or even night two main event.
Right.
I think
definitely.
Oh, sorry, Awful. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Dose.
No, Dose, what do you got on this match?
Well, I think an interesting moral to your story earlier is that Chris Masters is still wrestling, and he's actually considered a pretty good wrestler now. So the moral is definitely not to give up on it.
Was he?
As far as the entrance is concerned, I agree with you guys. I mean, obviously, Jade was in silver, Naomi was in gold, and Bianca was wearing both of them, and she was supposed to blend them together. But I mean, even from the story, it didn't make sense because Naomi was the tie that binded them, and so she should have been the one. But also, the cowboy hats were in tribute to Thunderbolt Patterson. But I don't think
were they really? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, we wouldn't have naturally known that until they talked about it after the Hall of Fame. So,
I get an amen?
Yeah,
amen.
So, and the whole, between the rising lift platform, and they each had their own abrupt entrance. It's like something needed to be edited out for it. And poor Naomi, well, it's not poor Naomi, because she picked her entrance and she's got they have to spell her name out. So of course there's no time for it. Don't spell Naomi, Naomi. What is that? Who cares? Go back to the Glow or just a song. But
I like the Glow. The Glow is always a good gimmick. I liked that.
I did too, and people liked it, and then they got hot and bumping and all of that. But the match, it was a house show match. It was fine. I agree with everything you guys are saying about Jade.
For those that don't understand, what do you mean when you say something is a house show match?
It's not there to show off excellent wrestling skills or an excellent story or psychology. It's basically a showcase talent. The faces are supposed to win, make people happy, or the heels are supposed to go over hard and be terrible. So they protected Jade. She did the power spot. She defeated everybody, but Bianca was really ring generaling, which is amazing considering she's only been in the business like 5 or 6 years tops.
Yeah, for sure.
And so she was generaling. And I thought it was great. It was when the bad guys are in a match and their titles are on the line, they're going to lose. Everything's fine. The one thing I'll notice about Jade, and it happened also with the Chelsea match, is that her pump kick, either she doesn't know how to control it, that it goes too high into people's faces, or her timing is off and it lands too low. She hasn't figured out how to do like what Sheamus does and get it in the upper chest and do it safe.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's timing, footwork, or whatever, but either she needs to get rid of that move and just replace it with a clothesline or fix that. But other than that, she's fine with her look and her personality. She doesn't have to be a better equivalent than of LA Knight in the ring. So I thought the match was fine. It's just, I felt like the lucha or watered down lucha match was sort of the same match. So maybe they should have put one on night 2 and the other on night 1 because they were sort of the same thing.
Before we move on with this, there's one thing I gotta point out. And look, I am not pointing this out to be a jerk. I'm pointing this out because it was an odd choice. Okay. Did anyone note the sponsor for this match?
Yeah, I know yes, I know the sponsors, but one of the things embedded in the word sponsor is that the sponsors choose what they're sponsoring. So don't blame WWE.
So Wingstop were the racists.
Oh well, I guess. I mean, if you want to look at it that way,
well, did you see what the sponsor was for the men's match with Dom and Ray?
No, you know what? I did see it originally. Now I don't remember.
It was some kind of Spanish drink.
Yeah, it was the tequila. It was the Rock's tequila, and you had Slim Jim. Listen, if you actually engaged, if you drank Prime tequila, ate Wingstop and Slim Jim, you were going to need the dude wipes.
Yes, that is true. That is true. But I honestly when I saw that, I was like, oh, the internet's going to have a field day with this. They really didn't. It wasn't that much. I was really expecting to get a lot of the.
Everything is sexist. Everything is racist. Everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
I hate that woman. But anyway, that is Anita Sarkeesian.
It's a great way to live through life is hating everything.
Yes. No, I was surprised there wasn't like a huge outcry. Like I really thought that a lot of like the pearl clutches were just going to.
Like I tell you. You know what my choice of food was for WrestleMania? One night was pizza, the next night was wings. So, I mean, I'm just sitting there. It felt very natural to me.
I would think most normal people just watching a sporting event go, oh, wings. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're looking at it from a perspective.
Yeah, no, I mean, look,
what can I be offended? Like, we know people are offended by everything. I get that. But there's,
it would be one thing if they were sponsored by Popeyes. You know what I mean? That would be,
oh boy,
but if
a slap in the face.
That's up to Popeyes, and if Popeyes pays the price, they get the sponsorship. I mean, Popeyes is an excellent chain with an excellent chicken sandwich. It's not like it's like
It is good. I mean,
National Socialist Democrats sponsoring them.
The KFC chicken sandwich is probably better, by the way. I think I like that one better. Eastside Reviews $5 super chat. Thank you. He says, Marvin, you were the first podcast I've listened to that has pointed out that Chicken Wing sponsored the Black Girl match. Yes, because we're not afraid. We're not afraid to point these things out, folks.
Right.
And we've got two black guys on the regular panel, so we're shielded. We've got the Howard Stern, Robin Quivers defense here.
Right.
So, once Apollo gets
in my
here,
mouth at the time, so I didn't realize it was about. I mean, it spoke to me.
It should have been wooings. Oh no! Ric Flair would never have allowed it to be for the Black Girl match.
Yeah, no.
Man. Yeah, no. We all know how Ric Flair gets. Okay, so moving along to our next match. Hold on, let me pull up.
Well, he's a Latino-in-law.
He does. Yeah. The 6-pack ladder match. I hated this match. I did not like it.
Holy shit! It was terrible. My goodness.
The only thing I liked was that R-Truth walked away with a belt. Like, that was the only thing I needed from it, and it's the only thing I liked. But I mean, man, oh man, it just felt like just nothingness, like a whole match of just like when nothing mattered. The one part that I loved, where it captured my attention, was when the ladder was breaking. Like, it had that like indie show thing where it's like, oh no, we've done too much with this ladder and now it's breaking. But thankfully it's WWE, so they have another ladder. Unlike the indie show where like the ref has to start, and no refs held the ladder. By the way, I hate that. I hate that.
Oh, they must have heard you.
The referee should not be holding a ladder. I'm sorry. Get better ladders.
Correct.
Yeah. That typically happens on the indie shows though, where what do you call it? With the now I'm umming and ahhing like Meltzer. What the hell, man? It's because I'm looking at the chat. I'm like looking at the chat while I'm looking at I'm trying to like talk. So yeah, Awful, say something about this match.
It was a clusterfuck, in my opinion. I mean, and I just got to be honest with you. A lot of the things that happened in night 2 of WrestleMania overshadowed a lot of things that happened in night 1. And this is one of them. Like, I can barely remember what was going on in that match. I do remember the R-Truth, Awesome Truth spot. That was cool. Everything else, throw away.
Well, let me say a couple things about this match. You guys are right. It was a clusterfuck. It was not an enjoyable match. It was not well orchestrated. And by the way, conceptually, it was a bad idea to have 8 guys in there, especially a bunch of them being sort of new. But what I liked about it is the 2 teams that I booked to win it won it. So I got that right. So I'm proud of myself. But I tweeted or X'd in live time, how do you kill a vibe? Because the WrestleMania crowd night 1 started hot and they lost energy pretty early. How do you kill a vibe? You bring out
because they were losing body heat too.
Yep.
Yeah, you bring out DIY and New Catch Republic, and you lose all steam in the building. I mean, just the way this match was populated, I never liked it. I didn't like the choices. There were 4 face teams. It didn't make sense to me. But less said about the match, the better. We finally split those tag team titles, and they accomplished that so on a big stage. So good. We have the titles separated, over, done with. This match could have been a lot shorter, and it could have been a lot better, but it wasn't.
John JID, thanks for the super chat. He says, hate refs holding ladders, buy more stable ladders. Yes, like WWE, I believe, probably just makes their own ladders at this point. Like, because they're like double-sided, but yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that one of the ladders that broke, I think it was the one that either Austin Theory or Grayson Waller went through. It had like some pink filling in there.
Yeah, it was like
someone said they painted a wood ladder for that spot.
I think it was Crashboard.
You know what? When that happened, I thought I turned to my friends and I was like, "Am I watching an episode of Is This Cake right now?"
Yeah.
It looked like it was like a cake that they made to look like a ladder.
No, I think that they're stunt ladders. I think they buy them from stunt ladders used in other types of productions. And probably caters to wrestling. And I think it's literally Owens Corning insulators in there to help break the falls.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had the same thoughts you guys had. To me, the match, I hate multi-man ladder matches. I mean, we've been doing this forever, but it was an ends to a means to split those titles.
Right.
Just wanted to get it done in one night and be done with it. And the other takeaway I had is, Well, the other takeaway I had was, to me, there's nothing you can do to make DIY have any charisma. To me, them coming out as the midget versions of DX and doing all their spots, Gargano wearing the cowboy hat and what's his name? Ciampa looking like a shrunken version of Triple H. It was kind of funny.
Ciampa looks like a Lord of the Rings dwarf. Like he should be accompanying his cousin to back up to the Misty Mountains to get the Arkenstone from the Dragon's Smaug.
If he changed his name to Gimli, maybe he'd have a chance.
Yeah. By the way, Alyssa, thank you for the super chat. Should just skip ahead to the main event. Also, Alyssa, we have a small panel this week. If this is the week you want to come in, you're allowed.
Yeah, if you're up now, you can join us. But I mean, speaking of Lord of the Rings into Game of Thrones, I mean, I like to say that New Catch Republic is Bronn and Tyrion from Game of Thrones. So
yeah, no, I get that. Also, Colton Austin, thank you so much for the super chat. He didn't say anything, but I like the
easy money.
Yeah. All right. Trip, did you have anything else about that match? Should we move on to the next one?
No, we can move on. I think everything that needed to be said. It probably got too much talking already.
Yeah, you're right.
Probably. All right. So, here we go. Uso versus Uso. Oh my goodness.
Holy
I have
shit.
never hated a match more in my life. Like, I mean, I watched Tyson Tomko versus Stevie Richards when he kept like screaming gay slurs at him and like slapping him in the face, and I hated this more because they should be better than this. Like, I'm like, how are you guys so good? Did you main event WrestleMania this year? When brothers wrestle each other, it is either Owen and Brett, and they go out there and they're like mirror images of each other, and they're just like wonderful, like on and on and on, or it's Matt and Jeff Hardy, and they have no charisma together, they have no chemistry, and they just botch and kill crowds, and this killed the crowd dead.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is now, forget about Matt and Jeff. Now it's Jay and Jimmy Uso is now the measuring stick for bad brother matches, because all these years these guys grew up together. What is going on in the ring? Like the match was terrible. They thought that the drama of the match was going to supersede the actual match, and it didn't, and it failed miserably. I hated this match.
Right. I mean, look, your brother is always your first opponent. We've all
Right.
put our kid brother in the figure 4 leg lock and made them cry. So, it happens. It's like, how do you guys have no chemistry? And why did you do like an AEW style match? Why did you do 15 super kicks? And I know I counted them. There were 15.
Have you ever seen a match with less creativity than this match? These guys are supposed to, storyline hate each other, but if nothing else, you're brothers. You would think that you're going to want to one up the other, or if it's that personal, you want to do damage, you want to hurt him, you want to do something. You don't want to just trade super kicks, which are just thigh slaps, and just, why even call it a super kick? What is so super about this freaking thing? I mean,
nothing
it is
anymore.
The weakest move ever. You may as well be kicking in the shin like Orange Cassidy, because this does nothing.
It is a move that has been murdered. It has been murdered more than the Canadian Destroyer has. It is a nonsense. It is like the DDT, once a devastating finishing maneuver that was employed perfectly, and now just an overused move that moves the match along. And this is not just a problem in AEW. Kevin Owens, I mean, like my buddy and I did a drinking game one time where we watched the WWE pay-per-view, and every super kick we took a shot. We almost died. Kevin Owens' match alone got me drunker than I have ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Why do you think that match sucked? Let's get into this just a little bit. Like, I mean, did they not have enough time? Was time cut? I just don't understand it. It was an absolute amazing thing to watch in its awfulness.
I think one of them turned to the other one and was like, you know what we should do? Like, how like you trade right hands and like, slowly, like, what if we did that, but with kicks to the face?
Right.
And the other one was like, that's brilliant.
Maybe it was an Andy Kaufman joke where they were the only two in on it. They were just
it's like Norm Macdonald at a roast, right? Like when Norm Macdonald went up at the roast and he like purposely bombed at like I think it was the Saget roast or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And like the comedians are like laughing, like they're crying laughing, and the audience is like confused. Maybe this was just brilliant and inside it, and we are just the marks who are being worked here.
It was. I have to be honest with you. This, going back to the Royal Rumble when they were number 1 and 2, I'm looking and saying nobody cares, and nobody cared. And my co-host Steve was telling me, yeah, they care, it was hot. I'm like, nobody cared. And they just sit there and they pace around each other, and when they fight, it's not even brutal. In this feud, the whole time, they've never gone brutal with each other. It's like
That's
who should you hit harder than your brother? Like
exactly.
So it had no heat, and so it felt artificial from the beginning. It still feels artificial. And let's face it, people still want to see the bloodline together. Jay gets a good pounce, but after the pounce, does anyone really care? Does anyone really think he's main event Jey Uso, or just close enough to main event for TV Jey Uso?
I would be happy with lower mid card Jey Uso, to be perfectly honest.
Me too. But this match, I mean, Jason Jordan produced it. Joey Numbers from Wrestling Soup said he should find his stuff outdoors saying thanks, but no thanks. I'm paraphrasing, of course, because I can't be as brilliant as Joseph E. Numbers. But
love that guy.
This was terrible, but there was no passion for me. It never felt like a blood feud. It never felt vicious. I mean, it literally. Yeah, you guys said it all. There was nothing there. The crowd hated, and thank goodness it was only about 8 minutes long.
All the build for this match happened a year ago. That's the problem.
I was going to say, the other problem is they've been completely separated for more than 6 months. All the heat that potentially would have been there is long gone when you separated them just to move this match to the WrestleMania. They could have done it at Survivor Series or the Rumble. They wanted to hold off for WrestleMania, and they killed any potential heat this match could have had.
Yep. And we didn't start them off. We started it too late. Then with the build up here, and it never hit that moment. It never boiled over. We were clamoring for this match, when he turned after the Roman match, but I don't think it was smart. It should have been SummerSlam. Should have or was SummerSlam the Roman match? I don't remember.
Yeah, Survivor Series would have.
Yeah, it should have been Survivor Series. That was it.
I don't remember. Was the crowd receptive to this match?
No.
Yeah,
they killed it.
No.
The crowd was already dead because I guess they were cold, or maybe, and this match just kind of did them in. Look, also, by the way, Michael Cole, man up. Like, if I had to hear him say he was cold one more time.
Yeah, it's 49 degrees.
I swear to God, dude.
Listen,
you're in the lights. Put a space heater under the table and shut up.
I knew a few days beforehand, because I live in the general area of Philadelphia. And I can tell you, it was cold. Now, I'm a black guy. We don't particularly like cold weather.
Is that a thing? Is that a thing? The brothers don't like the cold?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't
Come
know
on
that.
now, get your stereotypes up.
Well, I mean, I knew the thing about swimming, but I didn't know about cold.
Oh, yeah. We don't. I mean, how many black people do you...
I'm just saying I heard it.
I mean,
listen. Please go with the right answer. What do you like? Please tell me Wingstop. Say Wingstop.
Chick-fil-A. How about that?
Oh no!
Oh no! Now, We've talked about Chick-fil-A. You know what that means.
But yeah, I mean, the weather was going to be a little bit cooler. Then the people from Philly probably took up maybe 30% of that stadium. Everybody else is from around the world, mostly warmer parts. So, I knew it was going to, take the air out of the crowd when it was that kind of weather. They should never do a Northeast WrestleMania ever again, or at least in an outdoor stadium.
The Northeast needs to stop putting domes on the damn stadiums. I mean, it's ridiculous. You have seasons.
I'm pretty sure.
How many of these stadiums? Sorry, go ahead, Trip.
Well, I was going to say, I think Nick Khan had mentioned this was the last outdoor Northeast stadium that was booked from the previous regime. So going forward, you got to assume it's going to be warm weather and domes.
Well, and you know what?
Vince is FU.
Vince's final revenge. We don't have a location for WrestleMania 41 yet, do we? Like, usually they announce it during WrestleMania, and they did not.
I think they're leaning towards Minnesota, right?
Okay, yeah, no, that won't be cold at all.
No, it's a dome. It's a dome.
But there's a dome.
Oh, okay, good.
They have a new building.
Yeah, getting from place to place though would be cold. But actually, I'm sure in the arena area it's not that way. But in the city, they have these elevated sidewalks that are enclosed and heated. It's I mean, apparently that's pretty common. But like, I'm from New York and I live in Baltimore now. I mean, it gets cold there, and I've been to Boston. They don't have that. But in Minneapolis, they have that. It's pretty cool.
Before we get to the next match, I want to get some super chats. Chris Torres, thank you so much. Says, what's your opinion on Ronda Rousey accusing Bruce Pritchard of being a mole for Vince? I think Ronda Rousey is out of her mind. I think Ronda Rousey is struggling for relevancy to promote a book that just kind of isn't really selling that well. I mean, look, she is. I've heard from many people that have known her that she is just completely an unbalanced individual, and I believe it. her career is, her career's been faltering, and she very notoriously, when the fans started booing her, did not like it. I mean, she thought, look at this clip here. Come on, show it. So somewhere in the crowd, this is Ronda talk. Somewhere in the crowd, I heard the rumblings of "This is boring," but the fans weren't able to sync up from around the stadium. The chant died. I didn't even care. I expected the fans weren't going to understand. They weren't going to appreciate it. If anything, making them sit through it was my last fuck you to them and the company. But it was the match that we wanted it to be. It was a match that I was proud of. That's all that matters. Yes, Rhonda, that's all that matters, because it's all about you. It's not about the paying customer. It's not about the people that bought tickets to see you that did not like the match that you and Shayna Baszler did. You had to punish them for daring to boo you. I think that she just needs to, she's become rowdy Rhonda Ryback. And I'm done. I mean, would you guys have any thoughts on Rhonda?
When I saw her first match with Triple H and Kurt Angle and Stephanie, I thought she was going I had the same kind of vibe like Kurt Angle. It was just like, yeah, she's going to be a superstar. But boy, talk about a fizzling out over time. She's worried too much about what the. No, go ahead.
Becky Lynch mentioned that. She was like, I think everybody had this mentality after her first match that she was going to be amazing because she was in there with Triple H and Kurt Angle. Of course it was going to be amazing. They made Stephanie look amazing in that match. So
they also got to rehearse it for a couple of weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Then, when you're on the road week in and week out, it was just a bad match. Dose, you've got opinions on everything. What do you think about Ronda Rousey?
The only thing I disagree with what you said is I prefer to call her Ronberg rather than Rowdy Ronda Ryback.
Oh, right, because Goldberg's lost his mind now too.
Right, but the rest of it I agree with. I mean, she was really never cut out for wrestling. She doesn't like it. She doesn't like the fans. She doesn't really like people. She's a little bit crazy to begin with, maybe a little bit more. And this just seems like sour grapes. And picking on Bruce seems like low-hanging fruit these days. I know it was an accident that Cody acknowledged Bruce specifically. I mean, but this is sort of like the thing with Mark Henry. Listen, I'm not a pro wrestler, so I don't know if Kairi Sane really broke some etiquette rule in wrestling, but it was completely not, it didn't take I didn't notice it in the least, and I officially think it's something I need not get excited about. And things that Ronda Rousey say, I categorize just like that, something I need not get excited about.
Well, a lot of things that have kind of become legends that are like a thing in wrestling, are like people like Cornette will point out that it's not, it never was. You have to shake everybody's hand in the locker room. Cornette was like, that was never a thing, and because he got mad because he's sitting there at ROH talking to the owner of the company, trying to get things together, and this kid is sitting there just staring at them, waiting to shake his hand. And he's like, get the hell away from me. But then you've got, you guys, I would assume someone like Bald FTR, if you don't shake his hand immediately, he's probably coming at you. Like one of those guys that just takes themselves way too seriously. So Colton Austin, thank you so much for Super Chat. He says, was it just me, or did Cody hug the longest people like Cole, who was with Vince the most? I'm going to try to discern what this means. So was it look, Michael Cole getting a hug from Cody, Michael Cole, whenever he talks lately, since he's been released from his Vince captivity from the last 20 years, has just sounded like somebody who was a prisoner of war who is eating food again for the first time. What happened? There was something where last night on Raw, I think it was Pat McAfee screamed something out. I don't remember what it was. It was a thing that Cole used to have to scream, and he just goes, "Oh, thank God, I don't have to yell that anymore every week."
What, Vintage?
No, because I think Vintage is all him. But yeah, I don't know. I think, look, the people that were closest to Vince are the people that were making decisions, and those were the people that brought Cody back. Bruce Pritchard flew out with Vince to Cody's house, so and he is the executive producer of the show. Triple H is the head of creative, but Bruce is the guy kind of running the whole thing, right? Kind of managing the team.
I think this is a case of correlation is not causation. I mean, the people who are closest to Vince tend to be the people who were there the longest. That's the people that Cody grew up around and knew the most, and knew from a young wrestler and probably a young adult into being a wrestler. And those are the people he's got the personal relationships with.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about Michael Cole is that if you actually listen to him over the past 3 years, you can actually track how much influence Vince had or didn't have at any particular time during this last 3-year political battle.
I love freed Michael Cole, unbound Michael Cole. Michael Cole used to be my least favorite human being on the planet. Like, I hated Michael Cole with a fiery passion. But now that he's like free and can say what he wants, oh my God, I love him. I love him, love him, love him.
I also think it's fair to give a little bit of credit to Pat McAfee for putting some life into Cole. I feel like the freedom he has, obviously you can feel it, but McAfee gives him an energy, an excitement of like a fan almost. McAfee stands up and waves his arms, and Cole does too. Now he hops out of his chair and he's excited, he's screaming, and it just gives him the free reign to be like, you know what, I'm going to do this too.
Permission to have fun, sir.
Yeah, I think that Cole with McAfee, it reminds me a lot of Cole with Taz, where it's like, they like genuinely like each other.
Yeah, they're friends.
And it comes through. Like JR and King, Heenan and Monsoon, Heenan and Mean Gene. Like you could tell when people are friendly outside of this. James Smith says, praying for WrestleMania at Wembley to shut up AEW. That would look. John Cena did say that we need to get a WrestleMania in London at some point. So
yeah, but
where else are they really going to do it?
No, they're broke and they're having a lot of internal political problems. I don't think bidding a lot of quid on a wrestling show, but yeah, it'll come. And it doesn't have to be a WrestleMania. Yeah. It can be one of the secondary or tertiary shows. But yes, I think all of us would like to do it just for academic purposes, if nothing else.
Right, absolutely. I would love to see like how they do it, what the setup would be. I think it would be really cool. All right, Rhea and Becky. I'm gonna skip over this one. We already touched on it at the beginning of the show. We all liked it. It was a great match. I liked it. Not as good as her and Charlotte, but it was good. All right, the tag match: Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth. At first I was like, what are they doing? Because they started so slow, and then I realized that I should not doubt the tribal chief or the final boss, because they were just pacing themselves, because that match heated up. I mean, they really paced it out well. They started out slow and the crowd was dead, and they built it up to the point where they had them in a riotous frenzy by the end of it. And I thought The Rock looked good in there. A lot of people were like, oh, The Rock was slow, or The Rock was this. I thought I think these people just wanted The Rock to be slow. I thought he looked fine out there.
I did too.
What do you think, Dose?
I mean, I think that the entrances were way too long. I think they learned their lesson night 2 on that one. But the pacing of the match, I agree. At the beginning, it started like it was slow, but it's like it was more like a 70s or 80s movie. It starts slow and then it builds to the crescendo. And I thought the crescendo, in hindsight, I'm like, no, the match was basically perfect. And I think The Rock did as good as The Rock can be expected, and probably overperformed. He took bumps. He went through a table, and he's moving slow. 1, he's 51. 2, he's gigantic. 3, he's wrestling like a heel. He's a predator. He's playing with his food.
Yes.
He's going to take your blows, and then he's going to shake them off, and he's going to outpower you. That was the game. He's the Terminator, never moved fast either. So, that was the big deal about T2. Changed that game. So I thought the entrances were too long. Aside from that, I mean, I think the pacing of all of night 1 was a little bit wrong. We already talked about the 2 6-man matches being sort of too close to each other, but the match itself, I thought it was epical.
Trip, what did you think about this one?
I thought, like you guys probably did, same idea as Dose, where it started very slow and it was building and building. I think, after the match was over, I kind of looked at it. I was more impressed when it was over than when it was happening. Because, like Dose said, Rock is 51, 52. He's the size of a house. He hasn't had a real match in 11 years. Okay. 11 years. And the last time he had a real match, he injured himself. He tore his muscle off the bone or whatever, trying to wrestle like Prime Rock. This time around, he was, not only is he a heel, but he was smart enough to know, okay, these are my limitations. This is what I'm going to do. And if you'll notice, when he first came back, every time he cuts a promo, he's sweating like he's Shane McMahon, and he's gassed and he's out of breath. This guy went out there for 40 minutes. I know it was a slow build. By the time that match was over and he dropped that elbow, he was completely in control. He was not gassed. He was, in full control. He looked like he'd been wrestling for the last few years. And I thought that was the most impressive thing, given how long he's been out and how much he was still able to do. And I think in hindsight, for me, it was better than while I was watching it. Because while I was watching it, I was thinking, oh, this is kind of slow. This is taking forever, but it made sense for the match. And I'm super happy that they went with the right ending, right? Because going in, my thought process was, you have to pin Cody. He's got to make Sunday night this impossible mountain to overcome with just 100%. Nonstop chaos, because, it won't hurt him to take a pin if that's the situation he's facing. And he was the only logical guy to take the pin. So,
yeah, I agree. Folks, now joining us here on the panel, our good friend here. He's here with wrestling opinions and the world's smallest tank top. It is our friend Kevin Apollo. Good Lord. So is that just like a normal size tank top, but you're just like such a large man? Or did you like purposely be like as small as possible?
A little bit of both. This is a stringer tee, brother. These are the tank tops that Sting and Hogan wore on Baywatch.
Yes, but you're not wearing that into Hogan's Beach restaurant without a military ID, though.
I'm violating 2 rules at the same time.
Yeah, totally. Technically 3 if you really want to read between the lines.
Whoa, hold on. That's not official anywhere, brother. That's not official anywhere.
I don't know. It might be Zeus.
Don't move too fast, Kevin. One of those strings might pop off.
Oh man, look,
It's Michelle.
You don't need to buy tickets to that gun show.
If the super chat's on, I'll pull a nipple out.
Oh, we are not doing that.
Why not?
Johnny 718 Bravo, $2. Thank you so much. Says I love your videos. TooneyCon slays me. Thank you so much. Kenneth Douglas, $2 says Rock sold Roman spear like rent was due. That is true. He kind of did.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love you guys. You guys are the best. So Kevin, we're talking about the main event of night 1, the tag match. What are your thoughts on this?
Dude, I loved it. Well, so my favorite part of the match has nothing to do with the match and everything to do with Pat McAfee, where Pat McAfee pretty much said The Rock was on juice without wanting to say it, and then caught himself halfway through and saved what he sold. How did he say it? He was like, I think Corey Graves was like, look at him. He's in his, he hasn't done this for 8 years. He's not a young man. And McAfee goes, well, when you look like that and you're all juiced, into the field of WrestleMania.
Yeah, I caught that too. That was hilarious.
And just saved his ass from the final boss. But I'm like, hey, look,
could you? Well, I mean, look, Hugh Jackman has pointed it out before, right? Like he's
I told my good friend Dwayne, The Rock. I'm like, yes, we know. But,
he told me to eat 6,000 calories a day and just stick this needle in me bum.
Allegedly. I love the main event. Like I said, we talked about it not too long ago. One of the things I love about Roman matches are that they're simple. It is a huge emphasis on basic storytelling. Every movement means something. The fact that The Rock is a 50-something-year-old man who hasn't done this, in so long, is beyond impressive. And yes. in that awful cold weather, the cold does have a drastic impact on an athlete's ability to perform.
Tell him, Kev.
Wearing as little as a wrestler wears. So the fact that the Rock was so amped up and had so much body heat that he was dumping water on himself during the match.
Yes.
And he didn't die of hypothermia, which tells you that The Rock is actually probably Black Adam for real. He
definitely said when he goes back, he says Shazam and the lightning bolt hits him and he's like a super thin twig. I'm convinced.
But the emotion is right. I didn't catch who said it, but yeah, they went with the right ending. If you're gonna tell the story this way, and like again, one of the things we can all be very open about it. I don't think it's a big secret. Cody does not have the larger than life persona that a Cena or a Hogan or an Austin had, but the fact that Cody is so likable and so relatable, I think overcomes that. Cody is the guy he could be your best friend. So it gets
he's somebody's best man that he's never met before. We saw that when he said he'd be that fan's best man. I mean, there's how many people were there because he paid for their ticket that night?
All of them.
Pretty much anyone, like 15,000 of the 75,000 were all bought and paid for by Cody.
The difference between WrestleTix and the attendance, that's all Cody.
Right. Oh my goodness. Awful. We didn't get your thoughts on this match yet. Do you have anything to add to the conversation here?
Me personally, if we all knew the outcome, and I think for me that took something away from the match. Like Me, I was half in the bag anyway, so I was just waiting for it to end.
Yes,
I agree with what
know.
you guys were saying, but I was waiting for it to end.
Yeah, no, we were talking during it, and I was like, "Awful is very, very, very drunk." Okay, so moving on to night 2. We have okay, so the match that I thought I wasn't gonna like, Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits.
We missed a match.
Did we?
We missed Gunther and Sammy.
Oh my God, we did miss Gunther and Sammy.
Oh wow,
you're right. We did. We missed Gunther and Sammy. Good catch, Rook. The greenhorns calling the spots. But no, we missed Gunther and Sammy. I liked it. I thought it told a great story. I like the Rocky thing was getting to me a little bit in the beginning. When he got because I'm afraid. I'm afraid. But I was expecting Gable to turn heel. I was not expecting Sammy to win. Like that really threw me. Yeah, no, awful. What did you think of this?
I thought the match was great. Right before Sami Zayn came out and he was met with Kevin Owens, I was just like, "Oh yeah, now this has turned it up for me," because we had missed Kevin Owens throughout this whole dynamic, and I just thought the pacing was great. I thought the match was great. Just like you, I did not expect to see Sami Zayn go over, but
no, it's
good that he did. Let's hope that he can, parlay that into more popularity, because he was kind of remember, he was thrown in. It felt like he was thrown into this, in the last several weeks, right? The lead up to it. And people were not real happy with that idea, but he brought him back in. Yeah,
it's so funny to me because then people were complaining that he beat Gunther, and I'm like, you all thought a year ago that he was the guy to beat Roman, and now he's not the guy to beat Gunther. You cannot please anyone. Somebody will always be complaining. Trip, what'd you think? What'd you think of this one?
Well, I'm going to start off by saying I wasn't one of those people that thought Sammy should have beaten Roman last year, and I preface that because I didn't. This was a fantastic match, and I'm not upset that Sammy won. I personally wouldn't have gone that way. I think the story for the last few months is Gable. Sammy's had the IC title 3 times already, so to me, it's not like his first time winning. It's not a world title. If you built up so much credibility with this title, with Gunther having it for 666 days, and to me, Sammy is already crazy over with the crowd, and a guy like Gable, who's finally gotten almost to that level, this really might have pushed him over the edge. Now, having said that, seeing how Raw turned out last night, if you ask me what's next, I see a Gable heel turn coming. Maybe I'm crazy, but he looks like he's got no nonsense. He was almost annoyed when Sammy was screwing with him. Sammy kind of seemed like he was screwing with him about, "Oh, now we're even. I got you back with this tag match." When he was like, "Wait a minute, whoa," and then he's like, "Oh, I'm just kidding." So, to me, maybe this is building to a long-term program.
Yeah, I think that's coming like a freight train. I think we're going to start seeing Gable, get a lot more, going on for him. Kev, what were your thoughts on this one?
I agree. The Rocky 3 shtick was a little, they laid it on a little thick, and it was a great point when you don't have Kevin Owens there to fill the other part of the dynamic. It wasn't really landing. But what really worked was when Sammy sees him before he goes out, you have the match.
I did like that.
The match was tremendous, right? There was no doubt that it was going to be an awesome match. And once I heard Cole say 666 days, I'm like, oh, never mind. Gunther's losing.
Yeah, it's too perfect, right?
That's kind of a magic number. So, Triple H is going to want that in the record books until he can find a way to have someone go 1,666 days. So it was time. Where I'm one of those people who's like, well, this really should have been Gable's moment because, Sammy has had this belt a couple of times. But, just like how you commented on why earlier today, why is Ricochet not in the title match versus Jay? Sammy's the bigger star. And people, I kind of look at Sammy almost like he's like our modern day equivalent of Foley, in the sense that everybody rallies behind him. He's kind of like your wrestling everyman. And if he has to, he can fill, a story slot at any level. I'm just waiting to see what we do next with Gable. Gable's one of those guys who he has survived it all. He has shown you that he can pretty much do anything. but now it's time to give him a shot and let him shine a little bit. Let's get him to the next level. Let's pull off their strengths and let the guy do what we all know he can do.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Dose, we have not heard from you yet on this one.
Yes, thank you. I really did enjoy Stand and Deliver. I think it was a wonderful show. No, I'm pretty sure I am the first person in the IWC. Like for 3 months, I've been saying that it's good. Sami Zayn is going to face Gunther at WrestleMania, even before they started talking about when he was like, I don't know what my mission is. I don't know what my path is. So I always knew it was going to be Sami Zayn, and he kept losing matches, and then he had this like narrow window. And I think that you're all a bunch of marks because I think you're missing the story, because the whole thing with Gable, it's the same oop-de-doop. It's the same bait and switch they did with you for Cody. They're just doing it mini version with Gable. And now you want it to be him, but the swerve is going to be, Gable's going to turn on him. And, you know, on Raw, we saw this could be booked two ways. One, Gable turns on him in the match, heel, or the other is like, gentlemen, we will fight valiantly. But Sammy's like, in Montreal, my hometown, and Gable's like, wait a minute, that's not fair. And so, it's going to be a turn, and now that's going to be a feud, and that's going to elevate Gable, because I know that there are people who love Gable. I love his talent too, but he's very small. Yes, he's an Olympian. His personality, he's funny, but he's only funny a little bit. And so we'll see if he can turn it up as a heel, and we'll see it come in. But the match was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's exactly what should have been. I thought it was exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, I by the way, one thing I wanted to point out from the chat, somebody, Houdini just said, did anyone hear Roman's leukemia is acting up again from WrestleMania? That's actually, Roman did clarify this. McAfee, I think, said like, oh, he's fighting leukemia right now. At the press conference, Roman was like, no, when you're in remission, you're always fighting the cancer.
Right.
Okay. Like you always kind of like, it's remission. You're never like cured. So he said, I'll be taking daily medication the rest of my life for it, but no, right now I'm fine. So,
did you see Paul Heyman's reaction to that, by the way? It seemed like,
no, I didn't see that.
Yeah. The questions seemed a little bit off-putting, and it kind of took both of them by surprise. And Paul Heyman seemed to have this look of like, well, why the fuck did Pat McAfee even bring that up? You know what I mean? Like, it was just such a disconnect from the entire event.
Look, I get wanting to be like, he beat cancer and all that stuff. Like that's something to be proud of. I don't think it was right for a for a quote unquote journalist to go in there and be like, hey, do you have leukemia again? Like that was a little much. All right, so now we're moving on to night 2, and we've got the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley against the Final Testament. Now I was not expecting to like this match. It was the match where I was like, okay, who cares? I don't really give a crap. This match surprised me. Look, putting Bully Ray into the match as the referee, that was the first way to win me over. And then it was just a solid, hard-hitting, hardcore, tag match. I thought it was great. I thought it was really great. Trip, what'd you think of this one?
This match had zero appeal to me. It's been weeks and weeks of probably the worst segments on every show. If you're asking me what I think about this feud, I'm actually surprised they put it on the card. It doesn't do it for me. I feel like Lashley has been wasted. I feel like the Street Profits are worse off now than they were before they were put with Lashley. I don't understand the dynamic between AOP and Cross. I mean, you send Paul Ellering out there. We all know who he is. They never bothered to explain his actual history in the business, why he's who he is, or why you should care. The majority of the people watching now have no idea he was even on NXT with these guys years ago.
And they don't let him do anything really. Like, he's not cutting.
Right, he's just an old man holding a newspaper.
I would be using him as a mouthpiece. I love that Paul Ellering's getting a check. Don't get me wrong. But I would be using him a lot more. Kev, what do you got?
I didn't think I was going to like this match. I love Bobby Lashley, one of my favorite performers. Even back from when he couldn't cut promos. I'm a Karrion Kross fan. We talked about it last week. I don't understand where the creative disconnect is and why he just isn't sticking the landing yet. I think they'll get there, but I just don't understand why it's taking so long. But throwing Bully into this throwaway match saved it. Kudos. I don't know if he's still under TNA contract or not, but kudos to TNA for being willing to do that. Putting Bully into the match turned into, okay, we're just going to have some fun. And there's nothing wrong with just a random fun wrestling match. And it was everything it needed to be. A bunch of people got beat up. We did what's up. The only thing missing was a 3D and New Jack.
Right. I was surprised they brought Bubba out and Devon didn't come out.
Well, I think
because Devon wasn't Devon at the Hall of Fame.
Devon was there, but doesn't Devon kind of have a limp now?
Yeah, I don't think Devon can move for that. I don't think Devon's well.
Okay. Dose. What did you think about this one?
Wow. Listen, I like all of these guys. I have a long-standing bromance with Lashley. It's unrequited. There might be restraining orders involved. I also am a big fan of Cross going back to Lucha Underground when I first saw him. I followed him since then. I also, just like Kevin, I don't understand where the disconnect is, but the disconnect is real. I don't understand these factions. I think that AOP makes more sense with Lashley, and the Street Profits make more sense some on their own. I don't understand why you brought in Paul Ellering when Cross can speak, and you have Scarlett who can speak and looks terrific. Paul Ellering adds nothing anymore. The Road Warriors are my favorite act of all time, and they always will be. I love Paul Ellering, but he adds nothing anymore. He adds less than Jake Roberts does these days in AEW, and that's saying something. He just stands there and looks mean. I mean, he looks like a man who actually had a stroke and was frozen. He serves no function whatsoever.
That is not a strike against Jake and Paul Ellering there. I think it's a strike against the way they're being booked and the way they're being used.
I think that you're probably right, but I don't know if sure. I wanted to like this match. As soon as they brought out Bubba Ray, I knew who was going to win, so I was happy because in the battle of the bromances, I wanted to be Kevin Castle's bromance, which is Karrion Kross. But aside from that, I thought this match was terrible. There was even the one exciting spot from Montez, he overshot it. Okay, no big deal. But I hate the AOP Super Collider. It's the least impactful, penultimate finisher I've ever seen. It's like a pillow tap to the two guys. The AOP acted like they were dead out there for 10 minutes while they were setting up lame table spots. One of the table botched itself and broke beforehand. I
saw that.
None of this ever made sense to me. This whole feud has been meandering, and the best thing they can do is either pretend it never happened, or what should have happened in my mind, if they want to save any part of this, is that Lashley should have turned on the Street Profits and joined Cross with AOP as the backup, and they become like the two-man power trip tag team from hell for the next year, and then eventually AOP turns on them and you have a feud. I hated everything. Even B-Fab and Scarlett, who are two of my favorites, who I think are two of the most underutilized and underrated talkers. I don't know about workers, but talkers in the game. B-Fab, I was like, yes, please let her be a manager. Just no, none of it. Just none of this worked for me. That they were getting physical in the ring, they weren't supposed to. I just hate when stupid things like that. Hated everything about it except that my husband won.
All right, Trip, what do you got?
Oh, well, I already.
Oh, you already did it. Yeah, sorry, awful. What did you have to say about this one?
I don't know what they're doing with Karrion Kross. I don't know what they're doing. Karrion Kross and Montez Ford. I don't know what they're doing with these guys. This start-stop motion that Karrion Kross has gone through, I think the train has left the station for Karrion Kross. I don't think there's nothing he can do. When he first came back, wasn't he in a feud with they put him in a top level feud with, I believe, orbiting the Roman Reigns storyline, and then
wasn't it Drew
delivering black flowers to Drew and Roman at the same time,
right? And it was just like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Then for some strange reason, he's now back with just back. He's like a lower mid-carder, and I know he's better than that. Same thing with Montez Ford. Montez Ford looks so uninspired anymore. Like, he just looks to be like, please get me away from my partner. Please get me away from Bobby Lashley. It's not helping any of these guys to be in these factions. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, super chat from John JID 999. Thank you so much. Said Snoop Dogg was hilarious on commentary. He said he was going to be out here for 2 matches. I think he got too high in the green room and forgot. Maybe he meant 2 segments because he did come out for the to incorrectly announce the attendance. So, all right, let's see.
He's fantastic. Nothing he does is incorrect.
I want to start moving through these a little quicker because I feel like we're taking way too much time on this. LA Knight, AJ Styles. Everybody, I want to just kind of give like a rapid fire. I thought it overperformed. I thought AJ was at his best. AJ was out on a mission. AJ was like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make a star tonight. Like, this guy's the next guy, and I want to get him. I want to get him there. Kev?
I think AJ is the uncrowned new Mr. WrestleMania. I think every WrestleMania AJ has been in, his match has pretty much stolen the show. This was great because 2 different styles coming together, and it's nice when you see it work. I don't know if this was necessarily the breakout match that I think LA Knight needs to put him back on the proper trajectory. But awesome match, great performance from the both of them. There's really not too much to dig into here because, when it works, it works.
All right, Trip, real quick, your thoughts on this match.
I feel like LA Knight was kind of like the forgotten guy, the one guy left behind the last few months with all this, hoopla with The Rock coming back. I think this was a much needed victory on the biggest stage for him to put him back on track where he should be going moving forward now with The Rock leaving and the Roman Cody story over. I could see him having a big match maybe at SummerSlam with Logan Paul for that U.S. title.
I can definitely see that. By the way, wanted to shout this out real quick from our friend Wrestling Soup, dropping a new video after the show tonight. So guys, make sure you follow along and check out the new video because Wrestling Soup, great friend of the show. We enjoyed having you last week. We'll have you on again very soon, Mish. Dose, real quick thoughts on this one.
Okay, this is going to sound like an insult, but it's a compliment. This was a terrific NWA match, and I think it was exactly what was needed for everybody. About 8 or 9 minutes, the right guy won. AJ made LA Knight look great. LA Knight did nothing wrong. And he wasn't in the main card, but not everyone can be in the main card. This was a grudge match. They set it up as a real blood feud. AJ gave you the reason why. It all made sense. Perfect.
All right, Awful. What do you got?
Great match. I thought that these guys worked well together. I could have swore that we had talked before earlier. I thought that they were both in TNA and they were out there, but they never crossed paths is what I was told. But great match. I think they're 2 great contenders for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, and I definitely think LA Knight is, one of the guys going forward. All right, triple threat: Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens. Oh man. Look, every time I see Logan Paul out there, I like him more. I mean,
every time,
not as like a human being, but like as a performer, as a wrestler. The guy gets it. And then he put out that actually maybe even as a human being, because he put out that social media video of him in a skybox reacting to the main event, and I was like, okay, Logan Paul, yeah, you really do like this stuff. I mean, he was just tremendous. Trip, what'd you think of him?
I love Logan Paul. There's nothing this guy can't do. It's amazing how quickly he's picked this up, and anytime he's on the TV screen, he's must watch. Period. And he's in the ring with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, and he hung with them every step of the way.
For sure. Dose, my friend.
What everyone else said, and Logan Paul was the glue. I mean, everything revolved around him, so he had to be in the right spots. And even when he makes a mistake, he catches. He landed hard a couple of times, but he didn't let that stop him. He goes right into it, and Randy Orton, the consummate professional, who, by the way, a lot of people saying who's the greatest. A lot of people are claiming to be best in the world these days. I would say Randy Orton is the best in the world right now. But this was. I thought this match was great. It was entertaining. You had your Gaga spot with ISO 2000 or whatever his name is. I don't know who it was. I was just saying, please don't be KSI. It wasn't KSI. Fine. I just thought every part of this was great, and it was exactly the outcome it was supposed to be. Excellent, entertaining match. Would have been the match of the night, except it can't be the match of the night.
It's funny what you say about Randy being the best in the world. I mean, Jim Ross called that years ago. Jim Ross years ago said Randy Orton is the best wrestler in the world. And remember, Jericho and all the AEW roster had a hissy fit because he said Randy Orton and not Kenny Omega, which, I mean, Kenny Omega's not even in the conversation with Randy Orton. And Kenny Omega even got crappy about it. But yeah, Randy Orton is, I think, the best in the world right now. Awful. What do you got?
I just got to say that Logan Paul is a savant. He is a fucking savant in that ring. I've never seen anybody do the things that he's done in such a short amount of time. It's unbelievable. You got to keep that guy in there forever. The match was great. Randy Orton earned my respect. Kevin Owens earned my respect, and I'm not the biggest fans of either one of them, but Logan made them, look great. They made Logan Paul look great. The match was great. I didn't expect Logan to go over.
No, me neither. I thought that they were gonna. I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Kev, what do you got for this one?
Well, I think before the match started, I tweeted out unpopular opinion. I hope Paul keeps it. When you watch the match, what are you gonna say? Yes, one, Randy Orton is the best in the world, has been for a very long time. Kevin Owens is very entertaining. I'm not the biggest Kevin Owens fan, but he's grown on me over the years. And Logan Paul, dude, like I said, the guy's a savant. Who would ever thought that? And I only knew he existed because he was on a show on the Disney Channel that my daughter used to watch. So like the goofy kid from the Disney Channel is now one of my favorite wrestlers of the modern era. And there's a clear passion for it. This is it. Fine, it may have started out as some stunt work to get a little to get access to an audience, but clearly he's taken to it. He does it extremely well. It's awesome to see. Listen, it was an awesome match. Two stars came together to make a brand new star.
Yes,
this has cemented his legacy and legitimacy as a champion. And as a talent, and hopefully he's around for years to come because he's only going to get better. And one day, if he does get within, the match made it so that when they finally turn around and they decide to do a legit main event with him for that title, you can believe that he can win the WWE title.
Right.
I think the next thing you got to do with him is you got to give him somebody big that he can go over on, like Cena.
Well, he's going to get somebody big that he's going to lose to in Saudi Arabia, and that's probably Cody.
I could see that, yeah. But I think that him and Cena would be a really, really good, I think that would be a good. I had been hearing rumors about that for this year. So, all right, moving along. We talked about Io Sky and Bailey earlier. Just phenomenal match. Just delivered on every level. Loved it. Really, I started to see the hype on Io Sky finally. Okay, so World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Oh man, was this one good. I mean, I loved this match. I loved every second of it. It was a hot opener. I mean, the first move of night 2 was a Claymore kick. When he hit the 4th Claymore, though, I was like, okay, if Seth kicks this one, then like we're done. But then the aftermath of this match with Punk getting one over on him and ruining his WrestleMania moment, I loved it. Yeah. I thought it was just so good. Awful. What do you think about this one?
The match was excellent. It's great how these guys, work together, even though they may or may not like each other. The buildup was awesome. That's what made this match. The outcome was awesome. And of course, the aftermath was even better, kind of overshadowed the match. I couldn't have asked for anything better. I thought the match was superb.
Yeah. Just a hot opener. I thought it was the beginning. It was the
opener. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the Seth Rollins worst day ever, which carried us through the end of the and I think that's going to be a major storyline point. Kev, what do you got?
I would say night 2 is a master class in booking and wrestling storytelling. If it was a movie, you're coming in hot. You saw the sequel. You saw the first part. It was a steady pace. It kind of set the tone. It may not have given you the big explosion that you needed, but it ended. It was like kind of Empire Strikes Back, right? You kind of left on a downer. We get to Jedi. You're kicking things off hot. It's what can you say, man? If it worked, it worked. I can't think of anything in night 2 that just didn't click on all cylinders. I mean, everything's fun. And that's the important thing, right? It's needed to be fun. It reminds you of why the Money in the Bank concept is so awesome. And again, it just makes you appreciate storytelling. Drew's hubris and his inability to not want to troll CM Punk derailed him from the goal he had for the last 2 freaking years. He got it. He got too cocky. He got too caught up, and it cost him. and the Judgment Day, after suffering the worst day that they could have had the night before, they make up for it. And listen, and Damian Priest as champion is pretty exciting. So it's you get to Monday night and the story rolls on. Again, it's just masterclass of storytelling, and it just reminds you why when you use the Money in the Bank briefcase properly and you're patient with it, the payoff always delivers.
Agreed. Okay, Trip, what do you got for this one?
I agree with all that. This was probably my favorite match / segment of the entire weekend. This thing actually, it made sense. The story was fantastic. Drew's character over the last few months developing into this, bad guy, but he's telling the truth, and he does get screwed, and all your heroes are frauds for this reason and that reason. It makes sense, and like previously was said, he finally wins the title that he feels like he deserves, and he got in Punk's face, and the logic, the story of it costing him and Punk being the guy to do it, to me is awesome. And to have, even though Priest is the champion, going forward, you have this feud between, when he gets healthy, Punk and Drew, which may or may not have the title initially, depending on what they do with Damian Priest. But just, they have so many avenues he can go now, depending on when Punk comes back. Drew got screwed on Raw again. You know what I mean? So, it's just feeding on itself. It's going to build and build. I mean, there's no way that Drew hasn't re-signed, because they're going all in with him. And
Punk. Yeah. And 100%. When that whole mentality of has he re-signed? Gee, I wonder.
I mean, to me, this was the perfect way to tell this story. The crescendo at WrestleMania, resulting in the Money in the Bank, with Drew finally becoming champ, getting screwed over, CM Punk being the guy to do it, but it only happened because Drew couldn't control himself. He had to be a troll, and he got his comeuppance. To me, it was the perfect storm of a scenario. I loved it.
Okay, Dose, what do you got?
Well, I want to thank all of you for complimenting me on the booking of this match. And I know that you all listen to the Hammerlock Hangover, but if you don't, just listen to the WrestleMania prediction show, and you will hear my prediction list. I actually booked all of this. I didn't just pick a winner. I booked right down to they're going to have a work injury on Seth, probably his knee, that Drew is going to win. He's going to get his moment. And CM Punk, who, by the way, his suit was fabulous. I mean, that was a custom suit. That was a beautiful 3-piece suit. My goodness.
Yeah.
He's a great dresser.
Right down to CM Punk taking his brace off his elbow and hitting Drew over the head with it, and Damian Priest then cashing in. Listen, a guy like Damian Priest is almost there, but I don't think anyone would have believed him as the world champion without Money in the Bank, and that's the beauty of Money in the Bank. And while this was predictable, I don't know how many people predicted it unless they listened to the Hammerlock Hangover, and trust me, but since I booked it exactly this way, they actually executed it better than me because they were more patient about it. Drew was more mocking. And having Drew's wife there was a chef's kiss, but she looks a lot younger than him.
Do you think that well, I mean, look, the parallels there too. I mean, the Money in the Bank, I think, was how Punk won it at first too, right? Like Punk's first world title?
Yeah.
Yep.
Almost positive on that, yeah.
Yeah, he beat Batista.
Oh, our friend Phil from Pro Wrestle Clips. How about Sami Zayn taking that belt to Backlash in Paris? Everyone liked the video. Phil, I thought you was sick. That's why I didn't even hit you up for the I thought I saw you say you was sick. Otherwise you'd probably be in here. Okay. But yes, and thank you so much, Phil. Okay, looking ahead. I think we only got one match left to talk about, and that is the big one, gentlemen. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. I mean, look. This match, I mean, it was fantastic. And the first 20 minutes or so where it was just one-on-one was a stellar match. If it had ended right there, I would have been satisfied as far as the match goes. But look, everyone's like, oh, overbooked. But there's a difference between overbooked and storytelling. And this was storytelling. This man was at his lowest after last night. He was alone against insurmountable odds a year ago and failed. And now this year, the entire WWE timeline came to his rescue. The history of WrestleMania
timeline
was out there with him. I mean, it was every single, era of WWE, except with the exception of Hogan. But I guess you could put the Undertaker in there. They all came out to help, and that was Cody on his own. And all of a sudden, the cap on your left You had the Avengers Endgame moment where the portals were all opening behind them, and one of them was the Undertaker. Should it have been Stone Cold? Yes, but
Yes.
I cannot complain about the Undertaker. Kevin, what do you think?
Well, listen, the Undertaker is the actual final boss. So if they're going back to the Hogan era up to just a few years ago, there is a reason why when you watch SmackDown, everybody waited for Teddy Long to say, you're going one-on-one with the Undertaker.
Holla holla.
We can't ignore Seth Rollins' I am Iron Man moment. The people screaming this was overbooked probably don't actually understand what overbooked means, because if something's overbooked, it didn't work. It just didn't work. You overrode it and derailed it from its natural path. The first 20 minutes, beautiful, awesome wrestling storytelling. Then, of course, as it's supposed to go, the bad guy is on the balls of his ass, and now the cheating starts. Solo comes in, boom, reminds you exactly what happened last year. Usos take each other out. Who was next after that?
Seth Rollins, I believe?
Solo and
Solo.
Cena comes back. Cena shows up, gets rid of Solo. The Rock shows up and reminds you that we had 2 WrestleManias with The Rock and Cena. These two don't like each other, even though they kind of get along now.
Once I saw them face to face, I was like, thrice in a lifetime.
That's it. And then just it can't go anywhere else, right? The Undertaker removes the final boss. Seth Rollins comes down, and because we know Roman has a sore spot from that heel turn all those years ago, we paid off decades. Decades of storytelling in one night. It was an actual end game moment for the WWE. So if someone's complaining, they need to find a way to experience joy in their life. Go take a shower, touch some grass, hit the gym, read a book,
buy some little tank tops.
That's it. Try some deodorant for the first time. If you're smelling your stinky pits and it's driving you crazy.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, look, I thought it was so perfectly executed. The Undertaker had a perfect moment when he took the Rock to Rita Repulsa's Dark Dimension, where he's been fighting Triple H Goldar for the last couple of days.
They trapped him in the thing that Master Roshi tried to trap Piccolo in.
Mafuba! evil containment wear.
That's the evil containment jar.
The evil containment wear. No, not you, Dose, not you.
Okay.
Okay, speaking of Dose, you sounded off. So your thoughts on this match?
You guys said everything that needs to be said. I will add 2 things and 2 things only. One, Seth dedicated to the ending. In between the first match and the last match, he blonded the entire back of his hair, going back to Shield Seth Rollins. So kudos to Seth. I don't give him a lot of compliments. And dressed like the Shield is so much better than everything he's put together in the last 5 years. And Roman Reigns doing his heel work. I know people say he's not that great a wrestler. First of all, he used a lot more moves than he usually does. But his facial expressions, his words, his body language, the way him and The Rock are clearly doing the same shoulder and upper back workouts, because they have lines and cuts like divisions in their upper back from lower back that weren't there before. And he knows it, and he poses in certain ways, and he moves his body in certain ways. Everything that Roman did was a master class in combat theater. And if you don't like how he normally wrestles, well, you weren't paying attention last night, because he actually, or maybe you should have been, because he showed you he can wrestle. He brought out a lot of moves. He brought out submissions, the guillotine, but not just the guillotine. He had that choke in the beginning, showing he can do what Moxley can do. This was near perfection. If it was, I mean, I thought the end was a little hokey, just in that everyone sort of came out one at a time, as opposed to. But I understand why. First of all, they're old. Secondly, it's drama. But it didn't feel very natural. But this is me nitpicking. That's what I do. Shut up, Jeff. Yes, you're correct.
And then they had the moment where like everybody came out with they had the Yub Nub song. Like when Cody was out there hugging with everybody and his mother, I was like, can someone please take this clip and put the Yub Nubs, like Yub Nub, Ichak, Yub Nub. Like all you needed was him to like turn the corner and like glowing blue Dusty is like glowing blue, like Dusty and Terry Funk are like staring at him and like giving him the nod. Like, that would have been like, and we all know Cody's a huge Star Wars guy. So Empire Strikes Back's his favorite movie. So that would have been just top notch. Awful. What'd you think of this one?
I saw a lapsed fan who's a relative of mine literally mark out during the last 5 minutes of this match. And that's why the WWE does what it does. That's why the match was booked. It was to bring in 2 generations of lapsed fans, casual fans, non-fans who know who these people are. And the match was superb. I mean, what more could you ask for from that match? And like I said, I saw it in real time. My cousin marked the hell out when he saw The Undertaker, when he saw John Cena trying to cover his bald spot the whole goddamn time. When Seth Rollins it's so crazy how when the Shield music came on, everyone thought it was going to be old Dean Ambrose, and we're kind of let down, in my opinion.
I never for a second thought it was the plumber.
Yeah,
but I wanted to think it could be.
Yeah, and I think that's what they wanted to accomplish, and they did so beautifully. But yeah, I mean, overbooked, hokey, call it what you want. It brought back fans. I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah. Trip, what do you got for this one?
Yeah, just kind of echoing what everyone else already said. To me, the last 5 minutes, you can call it hokey. I look at it as controlled chaos, right? Everyone that you wanted to see take a part in this did. Every part of it made sense. Everyone was matched up with somebody from their past that was integrated into this story over the last decade in some shape or form. And also, like was previously said, with the bringing back the lapsed fan, or, even if you're talking about casual or average fans that are watching with their friends and family that don't really watch this, there is no way you couldn't watch the last 5 minutes of that match and not get swept up in the emotion of what's going on, the pure insanity, the crowd going bonkers, the facial expressions on these guys in the ring. And when the ref hit that final 3 and the crowd exploded, we heard I don't know, I was seeing all over the timeline the day before, the Philly fans are going to boo Cody when he wins. They don't want him. Nonsense. That place went apeshit, and everyone was excited. And even if you were a Roman fan and you kind of wanted to see the streak, the reign continue, there's no way anyone left that match thinking this was the wrong decision. Everyone was swept up in it. It was impossible not to feel the emotions. Legitimately, I'm watching this and you hear Samantha Irvin trying to make the announcement, and you can hear her choking back the tears, makes you want to cry. It was fantastic. And then the way they ended it, all the wrestlers coming out, people that the bloodline have taken down in the past, LA Knight, Randy Orton, lifting this guy up on their shoulders. And you got that WrestleMania 10 feel to it when the Hitman won. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. The only part that made it a little weird for me is when he calls out Bruce. And I know why he did it, but you could just hear in the crowd, there's just this general malaise, like, really? but other than that, it was everything you could want as a fan, as a casual, as someone who used to watch, as somebody who doesn't watch. This hooked you. I mean, it got you in every way possible. I thought it was amazing.
I agree. And that was WrestleMania 40, folks. Before we move on, Trip, I actually, somebody wanted to pop in and say hello to you real quick. I don't know. He seems a little mad, so I'm just going to let him in. What the hell, man?
Uh-oh.
What the hell? I just have one question for you, jobber, Twitter jobber. How the hell do you always know? How the hell do you always know what I'm thinking?
Well, it takes a man with a mind.
You're literally right 100% of the time. Sorry,
it takes a man with a mind and a nose for the business.
That was a good answer.
Have one question for all of you. Are you ready?
Well, now he's stealing. First he steals my thoughts. Now he steals my shit.
Well, it's my wife's.
Don't think I forgot about you, Apollo.
The opening.
Yeah. Don't think I forgot about you, Apollo, with your little t-shirts. The hell do you think you are?
Brother Brutai.
People like you don't win championships. Sorry, I thought it was at WrestleMania 19 again. Uh-oh. Hold on. What? I'm canceled? Shit. All right, I gotta run.
Number 3.
I gotta run. Jobber Monster, get back out here. All right, that was Triple H, everybody. Thank you.
You know, the one more thing that we could like is for 80 more people to subscribe to the network, and all of you people who are watching to like, share, and subscribe to give us those likes and help this network out. It's doing great, but we can always do better.
Awesome.
I am. By the way, I just wanted to point something out. You know, James. Sorry, I clicked the wrong one. James Smith. You know, I mean, your opinion's valid. I think like nobody should, you know, attack you for that opinion. If you think something that you think is good, other people will think is bad, and that's fine. I mean, there are people out there that like The Last Jedi. Like, I'm not going to let you pick where we have lunch together, but I'm also not going to like insult you for your. I'm just going to accept the fact that you and I have very different opinions on quality. Colin Taylor, thank you, says Philly fans booed Santa, but not Cody. Goes to show you Cody is more over than Saint Nick. Don't tell Mick Foley that.
There was a sign in the crowd you could see that said Santa deserved it.
I saw a Hitchbot sign in the crowd. Do you guys know about Hitchbot?
Nope.
No.
So Hitchbot he's from Canada. And so he's a little robot. And their plan was, can we have a robot hitchhike from one end of Canada to the other? And he did. It was just like this little robot that would be like going my way. And like people would pick him up and they'd take him across. And he made it to the other side of Canada and back again. And then they were like, we're going to try this in America.
Oh, no.
He did not make it past Philly. He got to Philly and was destroyed. And he started in like the East Coast. So like he really didn't make it very far inland.
No,
did he end up in a pawn shop or something?
No.
He
ended up working a corner right outside Temple University.
There was a sign in the crowd that said the Hitchbot was a Cowboys fan, and I'm like, that explains it.
Well, yeah, that'll do it.
Before we move on to AEW stuff, there was one I wanted to do something a little more lighthearted. So I found this thing. It's a oh wow. So now hold on, Neckbeard's holy crap. Raw, thank you, producer Neckbeard. He said Raw did 2,362,000 people last night. Wow.
And I'll say the same thing I said last year. A squandered opportunity to keep those fans with a mediocre television show, but this is not.
I would agree. No, I would agree. I didn't like Raw last night, but anyway, so I wanted to point out something that I found recently. So now you all know DDP Yoga, right? DDPY, you know, like he's helped so many people. He helped Chris Jericho. He helped Mick Foley. He's helping Butterbean right now, like learn to walk again. But he's not the only wrestler that has a workout video out there. All right. There's another workout video that I think we really need to kind of give some credence to. I mean, DDP Yoga is great. I mean, it helps you change your life. It helped Jake Roberts and Scott Hall and all these people. But I mean, we really need to give some flowers to the true workout video. Okay.
So good.
This is Big Papa Pump, and you're in my freak zone. You want to work out with me? Oh, the car I didn't like.
He's lifting the front axle of a car. This is Big Papa Pump, and if Dirty Dallas White Trash is going to have you doing all them gay stretches, then I'm going to make you lift shit.
I tried to buy this video twice.
Did you really? And what happened?
And it just never came.
Oh, you guys, can you guys hear the audio on this? By the way, when I play it?
Yeah. Too late.
Yeah, it was probably out of commission by then. So is it really just like Scott Steiner with like 3 women like lifting things while this woman sits in front of him with her legs open?
There's another version though that's even better. Where he's hold on.
Kev's cooking.
Big Papa Pump, teach you how to get your swell on. I got my hooches. I got tiny shirts. And I got loud yelling. And that's all you need. No sissy stretches. Just squats and back and shoulders.
That's how you get a peak on a peak.
That's how you get peaks on top of peaks for the freaks who need peaks.
Oh, let's just keep going here.
Are you losing weight?
Wait, what?
Yeah, later on.
He's lifting a tree. Okay, I'm sorry. You know, like you buy some workout videos and they come with like the resistance bands. Like, does this one come with 3 women with 3 prostitutes and a tree?
Freaks, Marvin. Freaks.
Freaks. Sorry, you hooches.
You treat those people with class.
He's not even explaining giant chains that you use to like moor in ships.
I don't know if it's going to show you.
This is
but
big.
during
Oh, wait, hold on.
And you just witnessed me.
Go ahead. I want to hear what he says, but
I don't know if it's going to show you, but during the video, one of the hooches goes, "What exercise are we doing next?" And he just yells, "Back!"
Oh God! Here we go.
Papa Pump, and you just witnessed me in my freak zone.
This is Big Papa Pump, and you just saw me in my freak zone. Oh my God! He's just a wild man.
Maybe it's right, maybe it ain't, but it's what I do.
Oh yes.
Maybe it's right, and maybe it ain't, but it's what I do. Like there's no studies that have gone into this. There's no like maybe you live, maybe you die if you try this, but it works for me.
Well, what studies do you need? Look at him. He is the study.
Yes, that is quite the study.
What are we doing
Get
today,
me ready
Scotty?
for my match.
Oh, here we go.
Just pick up shit and move it.
Get me ready for my match. Now stay tuned, because I'm gonna get you ready for the match of your life.
The match of your life. How are we getting ready for the match of our life, Scott? Oh, I love it. Oh,
Let's get it on.
can we please get this as a full cartoon series? Like Scott Steiner's.
I would love to do the adventures of Big Papa Pump.
Oh, like the Rock and Wrestling Connection, but it's
Yes.
it's just Scott Steiner like having random adventures, and every single like DDP is like the Kenny from South Park, and he just dies in every episode. Or maybe Ric Flair. Remember like that weird promo we cut on Ric Flair randomly one night where he was just like, "Now you got the other nature boy." You got the other nature boy named Buddy Rogers. He should come out here, and I know he's dead.
Ric Flair has loose skin like a shark pay puppy.
Oh yes! Oh my
Let me
God!
tell you guys something, because there's an earlier one where it starts off with him riding his motorcycle with like one of the girls. On
Oh
the
no,
back.
we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
And when he works out, there's like a tiger that walks into the room.
I've not seen the tiger.
Dirty old man. Yellow teeth.
Here we go. Oh, look at him. He's in his element. He's got a prostitute behind him. And with like the cringiest music ever.
Come on. In our imaginations, this is all of our elements.
I mean, yes, but... Oh, man, now we're playing like actual copywritten music, Scott. This is
the Jimmy Hart version.
Oh yes, the Jimmy Hart version of that.
Yeah, I didn't like that car.
Yeah, I never liked it. Did he pull this off of an actual? Does the video come with the front axle of a vehicle?
Was flipping the car and ripping the axle out.
I don't know if it's right or if it ain't, but it works for me. And then pick up big ass dumbbells and just start making movements with them,
Missy.
jerking wild movements from the back.
Missy.
What about me?
Tilly. Oh, I forgot about you.
He's naming the women.
Well, one's Missy, one's Kelly.
I need some weight. Missy, get in here. I need some weight. I need some sex. Come on.
What?
Come on, straddle.
Oh, she's gonna straddle him.
Oh, my
Oh
God.
no!
Oh, you give me inspiration, baby.
I've seen this part. It gets better.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I need more sex.
What? So like, so it's like the video, just like get yourselves 2 hooches and just stop doing this.
On my shoulders.
Only if you're a wuss.
That's
You call your wife in from the other room, like, honey, I need your help on this exercise. Look at him, buddy. He is not even trying to do a workout video here. He's just having fun. This is just
Not my
what
best
he would have done
fact.
anyway.
They should put this on the network.
He was doing what he was going to do that day anyway, except now he's charging you money to see it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Look at that. Look at that tricep. Little bicep
His
there. Look
muscles
at
are so weird.
guys like
I've
that?
never seen another human being before with that muscle.
Well, because he was that jacked when he was like 14.
Yeah. Even when I was a kid, like it grossed me out the first time I saw him flex.
You gotta block out the pain. Make your body grow.
Make
See,
your
that's how
body
you get
grow.
a peak.
So not like if you need a break, take a break. Like, don't push yourself too hard. Block out the pain. Make your body grow.
There is scientific basis behind that. The mind-body connection. I will give Big Papa Pump his flowers there. However, block out the pain and make your body grow. Since the very first time I've seen him say that quote, I live for hearing it because it's
one of his best. It is right up there. It is right up there with whatever he said when Nitro bleeped him for like a minute straight that one time.
Oh yeah, 30 NWO promo.
Yes,
I got one thing to say. Oh my God. Boo. Thank God you can't hear this. That's all I got to say about that. And then he was gone for 3 weeks.
Tony Schiavone just like, oh, this is disgusting.
Yeah. Schiavone
What did he
was
say?
horrified. And I'm like, what the hell is he saying? It's,
On top of
God, I love that
next
promo.
exercise I want you to do is the back.
There it is.
The back can never be too big. I want you walking sideways to the doorway when you're done with this workout. Beginner section of my work.
First exercise is the back. Oh my God.
Go. It's very simple.
Look, he's trying to now. He's like bringing it down. Like maybe this is the actual instructional part. 6
simple exercises. First, we're going to start off with a push.
Okay, him sitting on top of a big rubber ball is a little like I get that it's a workout. It's a workout tool, but come on.
Push up off the ball. This ball that I'm sitting on, you get it anywhere, and we need these resistance band. Okay, now we're ready for the workout.
He's going to break that resistance band.
Okay, now we're ready for the workout. Okay, so he's going to make the women do the workout while he rules them and probably gropes them.
Make your chest.
It's called spotting.
Watch your chest touch the ball.
Okay, and that is our video for the week. Scott Steiner workout DVD. Oh my goodness, that is.
He's a scary looking motherfucker.
I mean, like, look, I wouldn't say no to him, and apparently neither would anyone in WCW front office for a while.
I want a tiger.
Okay. Give me a tiger, I'll kill you.
You remember when he kicked off Nitro? I feel fairly certain the show started 2 minutes earlier than it was supposed to, and it opened with him cutting a scathing promo on DDP, who he had not been in anything remotely close to a program on for over 8 months.
Is it the one where he starts talking about trying to make him bad like a sheep?
Yeah, I'm gonna make you bad. And I think, and he said something about like, I'm the greatest of all time. Even Andre the Giant says it. He's dead though, but he'd probably say it anyway. And it's like,
he is. I miss him. I miss him so much. I miss him. And the greatest thing about like the Steiner math promo and stuff like that, it was Neckbeard says he looks like Johnny Bravo. It's what was the fact that the math was all flawless.
Math was correct.
Flawless.
Colin Taylor, thank you for super chats. It's like, can I please book Big Papa Pump for my kid's bar mitzvah? Could you imagine him like rolling up to the synagogue? You a man now. Now you a man. I'm gonna get you. I'll bring you hooches to your bar mitzvah. Now put one on your shoulders and one on your lap and just start lifting.
Kosher freaks.
Yes, they are freaks. Oh man, remember when he did the match with Triple H and it with like his pants were falling down? We saw his thong or like his purple underpants.
Right.
Oh man, he's the greatest. He's the gift that just keeps on giving. I love him so much. All right, I guess now we have to talk about AEW, right?
Yeah, probably.
Now we've talked about WrestleMania. We've had our laughs. Yeah, no, he did
your
not.
show, dude.
I've been avoiding it, the topic, but yeah. So I mean, Tony Khan kind of had like it was kind of like he was just desperate for attention all week. Did you notice that? Yes. Like he was just kind of like every other day it was him doing something else. First of all, look, I get Supercard of Honor is like a tradition. have it somewhere else. Don't counter program the Hall of Fame with it. Like last year, he was like, I'm only doing this because it was already booked when I bought ROH. Like and people already bought tickets. And I was like, okay, fine. I get that. But now he did it again. Right. And yeah, no, absolutely not. Like it is. Oh my goodness. So I guess the thing we got to talk about is the fact that he fired back on this CM Punk interview by saying that he is going to be releasing, or the Young Bucks, because he's got to be the babyface still. The Young Bucks will be releasing the all-in footage that shows CM Punk, I guess, attacking Jack Perry. When I first heard this, I was like, "There's no way that this is going to be some stupid being the elite thing that's not funny." Excuse me. But then, Sean Ross Sapp and Alvarez, like they are swearing this is real. And I don't think they're doing that unless it's real. I don't know. Kev, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that, listen, even going to Edge's promo, right? And on the face of it, Adam Copeland's promo was a relatively nice promo, but we all understand where it's coming from. It is an overly emotional reaction, which is the kind of thing that happens when someone shatters your delusion because they told the truth. Tony Khan is responding like an angry ex who's trying to gaslight everybody because the person who dumped them is doing better than them. It's just pitiful. If they're going to go through with this, only one of two things is going to happen. Actually, Punk haters are going to think he hates CM Punk, he sucks. People who love Punk are going to go, well, good for Punk. And any normie who's watching is going to go, I don't understand why you're showing this to me. I don't really care, but it's good. But it's kind of second rate. So all Tony is going to do is solidify AEW status as the second-rate promotion. This isn't like showing the footage of DX storming the CNN Center. This is just a bitch move because you got butt hurt, and Vince would never respond to this. I know we're not allowed to say good things about Vince, but Vince would never respond to this.
But I mean, Vince did things like this. Bigger. I feel like Vince did things like this in the past, like that could have had no payoff, like the Billionaire Ted things, the things that he was doing to pop himself against the people that he hated, like Billionaire Ted or, Tim White trying to end it all and things like that kind of like have no payoff. This feels like that. Like, what's the payoff? Sure, maybe it's going to bring Jack Perry back, maybe. I don't know, but
here's the payoff. CM Punk is yet again responsible for the highest rating in Dynamite. That's
if the rating goes up, it's because Punk drew the number.
And here's a very serious possibility, is that because they made the announcement on Collision with a very obviously done in post voiceover from Shivani. No one watched Collision, right? It only got like 200K or something like that. So no one watched it. So again, no one saw it. Not that anybody would have seen it to begin with, but even fewer people saw it than would have normally seen it. The only reason this is out is because the standard stooges put it out there onto the internet, which very likely means no one's going to watch it because no one watches Dynamite, and all the views are going to be on the internet.
Probably, yeah. The YouTube video will outdraw, I think, the ratings by far. And, but now I feel like they didn't even announce it on Dynamite. I thought they announced, or on Collision, they announced it on after Collision ended, during WrestleMania, which means that the only people that are going to watch this, what was it?
You're correct.
Okay. Yeah. I believe then that the only people that are going to watch it are the people that were already going to watch. It's the Mercedes Moné mistake all over again. Like you did this Da Vinci Code thing with Mercedes Moné, and nobody that doesn't watch your show heard it or understood it, and the people that are already watching your show were already watching. So I don't know. I just don't. I mean, look, if the numbers go up, we know why, and it reeks of just desperation. Like, I have to do something. I have to respond. Look, at the end of the day, this guy went on this show and he was like, "This is an unprofessional company doesn't care about making money, this, that, and the other thing. You know how you get back at them for that? You go out there and you have a good show. You make money. You show that you're a boss. You let your action speak for itself. Now, instead, you're dedicating TV time to a personal issue here, and it's dumb. It's just dumb.
Sorry, one last thing. So everything that came out of this weekend, right? From Michael Buffer commenting on how prolific a ring announcer Samantha is, to Cody being on the Today Show, the wrestling in general was a mainstream topic for an entire week. So TNA gives them bully. Instead of throwing a bitch fit and pulling this stinking move of desperation, how about, in order to maybe accidentally pull some normies over and generate some wrestling goodwill, that you release Dustin from his hell punishment and let him be there for Cody's big moment?
Not only that, but negative one was out there. Negative one was out there, and he's a contracted talent too.
Well, he's a minor. He's not exactly.
I guess. Yeah, I guess so.
That contract isn't exactly binding.
I'm sure his mother's cashing the checks though, and the checks that she should be getting. By the way, I'm a big fan of the fact that he continues to pay Brody Lee's family. Look, it's, and then with Dustin, he has Dustin do this promo on on Collision where he's like, my daddy was the American dream and he was a world champion and he never got to see me be a world champion. So Samoa Joe, I just want my shot. So I said, complete the tale. Got to complete the tale, Dustin, right?
Exactly.
To challenge the Samoan world champion named Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
I would like, because this is a pattern of piggybacking in the most passive aggressive way possible. When things started going bad, what do? He sent out Adam Copeland Edge to do the rah-rah speech, who's been there all of 3 months and has like zero history. Then right after the Rock comes out as the final boss, sure, Samoa Joe has a shirt that says the final boss that's been out 2 months earlier. And yes, lots of people call themselves the final boss, but they start promoting the shirt publicly with the final boss afterwards. Then you got the Dustin promo. I'm glad you raised it because it's the same thing. And now you're piggybacking off WrestleMania with negative stuff about Punk. And as far as my other thoughts on it concerned, I tend to ramble. Just listen to Eric Bischoff on 83 Weeks talking to Conrad about it. Exactly what Eric Bischoff said is exactly correct. It's 100% what I think. There's no possible payoff for it. And if you get a rating, it's a one-time thing and it's about another person's company. So unless you're going to have CM Punk wrestle Jack Perry, what's the point? No one cared about Jack Perry since the Jungle Express or whatever it was called, the Jurassic Express. No one cares about him in New Japan. We've talked about how we were going to try to beat New Japan Strong, which still does less than 6,000 viewers a week on its YouTube weekly episodic show. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 weeks for it to break 6,000 and stays there. So after I said I'm not going to say a lot, I just said, just listen to Eric Bischoff. If you don't want to listen to the whole show, it's all over Twitter. It's like a 3-minute segment of Conrad and Eric Bischoff speaking, and Eric Bischoff just what he said.
It's, because it's what's the payoff, right? Like you need to, everything in wrestling should have a payoff that leads to making money. That is the ultimate goal. And popping a rating for 1 week is not going to make you money. And even if it does, because I honestly don't think it will. But I mean, I want to root for this company so badly. You have no idea. I want them to be good. I really do. I want to watch the shows and I want to enjoy them because I like Will. I think Joe is a fantastic champion. I like Swerve. I like Hobbs. I like Wardlow. I like so many of these guys and I want to see them succeed. I would even be willing to watch FTR succeed for these guys to succeed. Okay. And that's how serious I am here. And he just makes it so difficult to root for him. He really does, because he keeps.
You guys are waiting
this stuff.
You guys are waiting for the dead to rise, and they're never going to rise. This is over. This company is so reactionary and just so petty. I have no faith in Tony Khan, in his booking or anything of the sort. What you're going to see on Wednesday, I think, is going to be a rib, and I don't think it's going to pop any rating whatsoever. And Yeah, I look forward to seeing this company get exactly what it deserves. And I know everybody wants it to succeed and all that, whatever. I think you guys are wishing on a hope and a prayer and nothing more. And Wednesday's going to prove it. I'm going to have to write a whole new chapter.
I know I already had my turn. But one about the Dead Rising, it is the rapture, as you know. Secondly, on this, wrestling purists of all places quoted something, I think, the Tony Khan said. He goes, "We have a long history of delivering on our promises of making major announcements." I mean, come on. Huge announcements is a walking meme. I mean, it's Tony is either trolling us all or he's the most tone deaf, least self-aware person of this. I'm going with the latter because he's a rich, spoiled kid who no one said no to him, and still nobody is saying no to him, and they never will. He never got beat up in school because he had a squad of former South African mercenaries, special forces, as a 12-man security team around him at all times.
I'm sure.
Tony is an observer message board geek whose dad happens to be a billionaire. And all he's doing right now is aiming to get as many likes of his comment as he could possibly get. He is catering to the smallest, most niche audience in this gotcha moment that he thinks he's going to get, which is insane. We already know what happened. We know what Punk did. He says he choked him out. He says, Jungle Boy mouthed off. Now we're going to watch some grainy video where there's going to be no audio, and the Young Bucks
definitely no audio.
The Young Bucks are providing commentary.
Yep.
So there's two parts of this. One, if you have eyes, we know based on what Punk said, you can kind of tell if things go the way he said. And also, AEW cannot alter the video, and they cannot have the Young Bucks say a bunch of untrue stuff because they're opening themselves up to litigation, right?
Yes.
So Punk doesn't give a rat's ass. He knows this is a nothing burger. WWE doesn't care. They've dedicated 0 minutes of their TV time for any of this. This all happened on a podcast that people on the internet might see. But at the end of the day, you saw that Edge speech, that rah-rah speech, which he should have given to the locker room, not the crowd. Half those people in the crowd had no idea what the hell he was talking about after that Ariel, the podcast. They didn't know. They didn't care. And the average person is going to tune in. There was no, like you said before, there was no true advertising. This was not advertised on Dynamite. Nobody knows this is even going to happen except their hardcore fans on the internet who are going to watch anyway. And maybe now you attract a couple of WWE fans that love CM Punk just to get a laugh out of it. And that'll just prove that Punk is the draw and nobody else is. It's just kind of embarrassing. All this does, though, is literally confirms what CM Punk said. This is not a business. Okay. They do not need to worry about how many hundreds of thousands of dollars are a 15-minute segment worth to AEW for promoting their talent, for advertisers, for trying to draw ratings and increase, profit margins wherever you can. He's literally flushing that down the toilet to air some CCTV video of something that happened last August that everyone has moved on from. His own fans don't even care anymore.
Yep.
Well, I mean, look, I will say it is relevant again because of the Ariel Helwani interview, but I think the pool of people that it's relevant to is very small. And I think after WrestleMania, most people have kind of moved on from it.
It's a handful of Twitter accounts that are all excited.
Exactly. Right. We should change Tooney's name to Twatty. Because Tony is a twat. He is the twat of twats.
Oh, boy.
Let's break it down. He is having a bitch fit. Whoever's, like I said, very few people saw this interview. And the people who care about it, it's even smaller. Hold on. I'm trying not to lose my mind. Because I'll be right here. When I watch AEW, I watch AEW simply because having another wrestling company on the air is good for wrestling. It is unfortunate that it is this piece of shit dumpster fire that comes on every fucking week and sucks the soul out of you when you're stuck watching it. Because you're like, how in God's green earth can you fuck this up every week? It's not hard. Wrestling isn't hard. But Tony finds a way to fuck it up. Like it's his actual job.
I think we just tell.
What am I going to do today? I'm going to fuck up a wrestling show. That's what I'm going to do. You fucking moron. Jesus Christ. This is the same twat who tried to sue people for holding up a sign that says Tony wanks dogs because he couldn't run a soccer club that he doesn't actually run. Jesus.
So it doesn't sound like him putting a wrestling show on television is making wrestling better. This is the thing that I've had, dealing on Twitter. It's just like, well, more wrestling is good. Having AEW on television is good. No, it is not.
No, because
when a lot more wrestlers.
When Warner decides that they're done wasting money on this, no other company will get a shot. No other company will get a shot. Tony's
there you have it.
Up for everybody.
He's preventing the next wrestling boom by having AEW on the air.
This is at least all the WCW versus WWF, where you're getting 13 million people watching and they're kicking the shit out of Monday Night Football. This is embarrassing.
Well, like with Heyman going in the Hall of Fame, I started looking into I started watching some old ECW stuff, and I was like, man, this is what AEW should be. AEW should be this underground, challenger kind of situation where they're the underdog and they embrace it. Bischoff said it. Embrace being the underdog. That's what Paul Heyman did. And that's why ECW succeeded. They didn't try to compete with WWE. They couldn't draw those crowds. They didn't have, look, yes, Tony does have the money to throw at extravagant sets and things like that, but maybe the show doesn't need that. Maybe what you need is a simple entranceway, a smoke machine, the Hammerstein Ballroom, and a raucous smart mock crowd that's going to give this environment of, oh my God, I have to be there. But you don't get that from a half-empty arena. You run an 18,000 seat arena and you put 4,000 people in it, and people can tell. Look, even if you're not showing that side of the arena, you can just hear the emptiness. Edge cut that promo. Adam Copeland cut that promo looking at empty seats. The Young Bucks took their victory lap after Punk was fired in front of empty seats. And if they were running in these small venues, like again, Daly's Place, the Hammerstein Ballroom, and just filling it with the most rabid, passionate fans and giving them what they want, I honestly think it could have been great, but they want it to be WWE, and it just comes out WWE light because you're not going to notice WWE.
You've been talking in the past tense about this. That's why I'm saying this ship has sailed. This company is dead. It's cold. It's dead. And somebody said it in the chat. Tony Khan has ruined the wrestling business for the next 20 years. For the next 20 years, you're going to see copycats of this type of behavior, this type of attitude, and this type of promotion of a wrestling company because they believe AEW's doing something correct. They're not doing anything correct.
That's what you saw with ECW. You still see.
I'm sorry. And this dog shit is why your average indie show only pulls in 20 fucking people. Because they do this garbage in your local bingo hall, and because all a bunch of fucking marks circle jerking each other, they'll tell you it's the greatest shit ever, and you're like, I just watched a fucking 20-pound guy with bitch tits powerbomb a 350-pound guy who's breathing heavy because he exists, and you had the audacity to charge you $25. Shut the fuck up.
Kev, how do you really feel about this? I think you're holding.
I fucking hate indie wrestling, and I fucking hate AEW. That's how I feel about it. They're a bunch of fucking losers, and they're fucking up for everybody.
This is Krogan blood rage at its best right now.
But at least a bunch of former WWE stars can get a nice retirement parting gift. They can get their big contract. They can work one day a week. They can control their creative.
Get millions
and they can have fun
with
their friends, and that's all that matters.
Work the mark. Bleed the money mark dry. Good for them. Vince I don't give you a bigger Legends deal. You got some fucking idiot who wants to give you $99,000 for you to show up and breathe. Fucking take it. Take it.
That's right. Big Show is like, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my career. Yeah, no crap you are, because you're not doing anything. You're showing up once a blue moon to limp your way out there, and you're getting paid probably $1 million a year.
Yeah,
gotta be
$999. I think is what it was, because I think the guys couldn't quite get $1 million, so he made them a penny shy.
Okay, Shaggy Filth 73 says, well, AEW is going to get me to watch. I'd love to see Jack Perry get his ass kicked. I think we all would. John JID 999, thank you for super chat, says this showing of footage just leaves me with a bad feeling in my stomach overall. Apollo is right. It feels second rate to the casual viewer popping in. Let's see what else we got. Oh, we just lost Awful. Let's see what else we got here. I know we got another one came in. Wow, but the chat's been busy. Okay. Colin Taylor, thank you so much. Says one thing nobody mentioned. What if this makes Phil Punk sue AEW? The Discovery would kill Tony Khan. That is true. If this actually went to a lawsuit, oh man, this would destroy everything would come out. Everything would come out about the way that place is run. Everything.
The problem with a lawsuit is how do you sue over video footage? I mean, you have to prove that it was doctored. I mean, it's video footage,
Yeah.
but but the point of this is unless CM Punk looks like a stark, raving, mad lunatic that's in berserker mode, this has no help. So if it only makes it look like Jack Perry held his own or the fight wasn't very good, who cares? If it makes it look like CM Punk choked him out, who cares? We already know. If it makes it look like Jack Perry did, it was like nothing, then there's nothing to talk about. Who cares? The only thing that has an impact to some people, and not to everyone, will be if CM Punk actually looks like a lunatic.
Right. Who cares if he looks like a lunatic? This is the wrestling business.
I
He
would
was
say
pissed off.
that a reasonable person might actually fear for their life, or he was a danger. He wasn't the locker room leader. He was a problem. It's not going to show that though. It's going to be grainy. There's going to be no sound, and even if it's not meant to be aha or ha-has, it's going to turn out to be ahas, not ha-has, not ahas, and. We're all just repeating each other and agreeing with each other.
Let me get back to the super chat. By the way, we were just over 200 people watching live, which was my goal for tonight. So thank you guys. We just dipped to 197, but we just hit 200 again. Thank you guys so much. That's amazing. Thank you.
I do have one little funny thing to add. So I have a friend of a friend who says that he was there, who claims that CM Punk leaned over Tony's desk and hissed at him like a cat.
My God, I want that to be
only
true
language
so
a
badly.
would understand, right?
Exactly. He just spoke with his native tongue.
Oh no! All right,
Allegedly.
Joseph J. Alexander says, "I said it earlier. This will be AEW's WCW that'll put butts in seats moment." Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, look, Tony Khan is kind of the wrestling equivalent of Wile E. Coyote. He sets up these elaborate traps, and it always ends with him falling off a cliff. Always. Let's see. Christopher Torres says Tony Khan is the new Herb Abrams. I mean, look, just go back and watch that Dark Side of the Ring episode on Herb Abrams and the UWF. I mean, it is scary how history is repeating itself. MJG, thank you so much, says Tony Khan fumbled AEW. Imagine messing up this roster. You all saying some real truths. Glad I tuned in tonight. We're glad to have you. And the 205 people in here right now. Thank you guys so much.
205 live.
Amazing. We had 205. Now we're 207 live. That doesn't hit as well. But I mean, look, are you guys actually going to watch this? Like, are you just going to wait for it to hit the internet?
No, I'm going to watch on DVR. I'm not giving them the respect of my lifetime.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just it reeks of things that WWE has done that I have criticized as well, like Billionaire Ted, like, Tim White, where it's just, what is the payoff, man? What is this doing? Who is this for? I mean, and now here's my question. Do you guys think this was a Tony idea, or do you think the Young Bucks saw an opportunity to get a full segment to themselves that the entire wrestling world was gonna want to see, and said to him, "Hey, boss, you know what'll really like stick it to Phil? You know what'll really get people talking about how you're the good guy here? If we show it."
It doesn't matter, because the whole point of this whole thing, even whatever the video shows and doing this, is showing you that there is not an actual leader there. All of this is Tony's fault, because he's the end all and be all. But honestly, I think in this regard, they're both thin-skinned and defensive, and I think in this regard they agree with everything. So I don't care whose idea it was. It seems like Tony, but it seems like it could be the Bucks, but it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it doesn't happen if Tony doesn't put it on the air. And this is a waste of primetime television time. And I can tell you that Warner Brothers Discovery, they have bigger things on their mind. NHL, NBA, and they are soliciting bids to be bought. And one of the bidders is Comcast. And Comcast is Peacock and USA. And if you think for 1 second they're not going to honor the exclusivity clauses in their contracts, for a show that does 750,000 and a 0.27 demo or whatever it is, which isn't nearly as great as people think it is, and two other shows that do between 2 and 450,000 with like a 0.09 to 0.12 demo, which isn't good by any means. There's nothing to get excited about. It's live TV, but it's not live sports. Stop fooling yourself. Sports hit differently than wrestling. It's not the same.
I'm wondering what's going on right now with the WB AEW media rights deal, because I believe the period of exclusivity, what did it pass already, or is it about to pass?
No, it's coming up pretty soon. I believe it's either June 1st or June 30th.
Okay. Has anyone heard anything about anything with this that they want to talk about? Or
I mean, I all I can do is confirm what I said 2 weeks ago, and I've been permissioned to say the person's name. Her name
okay.
is Vicky Doomer. You can check her out on LinkedIn. She works for Warner Brothers Discovery. And have I known her a long time? No, I have not. So I checked out first, and yeah, she works for Warner Brothers Discovery, and she's not like in an executive assistant position. I thought she's an executive in their suite, and she said this is all public. We're talking about, and that the offer was real. Now listen, I don't know any more about Max. I don't know if they were talking about different networks. But the offer was $90 million a year for 5 years. I have a feeling with these antics and every day that goes by, it goes down, not up. Last year when Tony was putting it out for bidders, he really didn't try very hard, but nobody was knocking on his door. He got some interest from CW with Ring of Honor, turned them away. Big mistake. We've talked about that. So yeah, and that's it. But Warner Bros. Discovery, this is public. This is not secret. They're soliciting bidders to be bought. They are about $50 billion in debt,
which is amazing because they were just bought.
Well, they were bought by a company that leveraged a ton of debt to buy them. They were bought by a smaller company. That it's very unusual and it's sort of boring. But the very thing that people mocked UFC for and Endeavor, like, they're a debt-ridden company. Well, that's why they went private, because they just got $13 billion. They're no longer a debt-ridden company. They're now flush. Their valuation went up to $23.5 billion overnight. Anyway, that's the standing. And again, some of the bidders have existing conflicts with existing wrestling companies that are succeeding, and other bidders have zero interest in wrestling.
Right. Kenneth Douglas, thank you for the super chat. Says, I can't imagine this ends up being good for AEW with Tony. Can't wait for Cornette's reaction to the footage. Punk has clearly moved on. This, and I know some people might be like, oh, Punk clearly hasn't moved on from this because he was talking about it. He was asked about it, and he answered it in a very hands in the air. What are you going to do? Level-headed kind of way, I think. So, I think that's correct. I think that Punk is just kind of look, I don't want to talk about that company anymore. I don't want to be a part of that company anymore. I just want to move on with my life and my career. I got a sweet gig in a new old company now, and he keeps talking about how different everything is now, in the Triple H era, the Paul Levesque era, which was fun to hear Steph say. By the way, how about go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just to add to this conversation, I want to offer you a quote from Matt Jackson, Young Buck number 2. He said this on the Swerve City podcast. He said this, quote, "That's the difference between us and the others. Sometimes you're in the locker room and some of these guys are so dead serious about pro wrestling to the point where it's almost uncomfortable. And we want to have fun." End quote. That's their entire basis for being in the wrestling business. Those are 2 EVPs of AEW. That should tell you everything you need to know about this company.
James Smith is saying in the chat here, I don't understand why everyone believes this. It's obviously a joke. I would normally agree with you, but the fact that Sapp and Alvarez, they are so dead set that this is real, so dead set that now, if this is fake, I can't even imagine that their credibility is already shot, but it'll be shot down. And Sapp does not put himself on the line like that a lot. When Sapp is this is 100% a thing, I believe he heard it from Tony. Tony is saying to them, hey, this is the real thing. So
yeah, as weird as Sapp is online, his information is usually good.
Kev, what were you saying?
I thought that they put it out there that AEW purchased the CTV footage from Wembley. So, I mean, they went out of their way to get it. So, we don't have much reason to not think that they're telling the truth. I personally think that the smart thing to do would be to hype it up like you're telling the truth, and it's really just you found someone who still has a working Flash player, and you put out this preposterous animation and go nuts and do something creative versus this pending disaster.
Right, and the Bucks are heels,
and you replace CM Punk with a little person.
Yeah.
Like post Survivor Series with the Montreal Screwjob. Yeah, no, you're right. I could totally see that, but I don't know. I mean, look, I would love for this to be fake because I mean it'd be really funny if it's fake. So we'll see. We will definitely see. Wow, 206 people in the chat right now. I'm so thrilled that so many people are here tonight. Okay, what was the next thing? Okay, switching gears here for a second. How about the fact that WWE is all in on pro wrestling again? I mean,
yeah.
I think like WrestleMania 40 ended with Michael Cole being like, I love pro wrestling. And then I believe Graves said pro wrestling is back. And then McAfee said pro wrestling is beautiful. And I was like, I think Tripp is trying to kill Vince. I think he's trying to give him a heart attack.
Well, let's look at what happened. Two mortal enemies came together to overthrow the evil dictator after he resurrected himself to take over the company again.
Rock and Tripp.
Yeah.
They did.
They essentially did the fusion dance to get rid of him.
Oh my God.
We
are Hawk.
I mean, listen, there are giant chunks of that show, which really should have just been called "F You Vince." From Stephanie's open to the close of the show. It was really just a "F You Vince."
I like Tripp coming out and doing the "Welcome to WrestleMania" just so we can replace the Vince "Welcome to WrestleMania" in every
so when we make new content going forth, you don't have to put Vince in there now.
Well, it even started before that with the national anthem, which Vince never played.
Yeah, that was a statement. The national anthem and then "God Bless America" instead of "America the Beautiful," because "America the Beautiful" was always a Vince thing. That was a statement right there to be like, hey, this is not her daddy's wrestling anymore. So I have a theory. I think that Vince is actually an imp from the fifth dimension named Gnilzerwarp, and that's why you can't say it, because Gnilzerwarp backwards is pro wrestling, and if Vince ever says pro wrestling, he gets banished back to the fifth dimension.
Yes,
I think we saw.
Listen, I'm perfectly happy to hear them say pro wrestling. I don't really mind sports entertainment. I'm okay with them both. I have two different pet peeves in the language. I hate that they call everyone a superstar, because everyone isn't a superstar. Some of them are just stars and talent. There's a difference between a superstar and everyone else. And I hate the WWE universe. Call us fans, call us customers, call us the universe sometimes. But so those two are my pet peeves more than pro wrestling versus sports entertainment. But I'm perfectly happy with it. I think it's cool. I have never said once in my life, I'm going to go home and watch sports entertainment. I'm watching wrestling.
Right.
I mean,
and then at the end of the show, Vince said, Tripp says, you've been watching WWE for 70 years, the worldwide leader in sports and entertainment is what he said.
Exactly.
Did not say sports entertainment. Kev, you seemed entertained by Gnilzerwarp.
Yeah, I'm a Superman mark, so I'm all for it. I could just hey Pop, I don't understand the writing. What does this say? Pro wrestling, you son of a
No.
Into the mirror.
He makes him spell it like in the Superman cartoon.
He's skywriting it.
Yeah. every time they say it weakens him.
I've got all these pictures of paralegals. Each one is a letter of the alphabet. Can you help me lay this out?
Oh well, yeah, it's my favorite pastime, pal. No,
it's always the brunettes.
Oh no, God! Yeah, in the fifth dimension, everything that he does is normal. Like in the fifth dimension, it's perfectly normal to make people kiss your bare ass on national television.
Hollywood.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Harvey, what are you doing here?
This is a Mr. Mixes Pitalik reference from Superman, folks. If you don't know it, look it up. There's a great episode of Superman the animated series where they do the character, and they have Gilbert Gottfried play him, I believe.
Yes, brilliant.
Wrestling Soup says, does Vince have a mustache in the fifth dimension or a do-rag? I think
both.
he has both.
The answer is
Both.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's what when he got kicked off the board, like, and he came back with the mustache. I remember, Kev, like, the favorite thing you said was like, "Oh, look, meet the new chairman of the board, Vincenzo McMahon."
Vincenzo McManus.
McManus the Merciless. Yeah, they get banished to the neutral zone like Superman 2. Or the beginning of Superman 1, actually.
Oh man.
Forgive me.
Flying through space. Oh my god.
And the album cover of Doom.
The album cover of Doom. Look, I love that movie. Superman 2. The Donna cut makes no sense. Especially the Donna cut makes sense if you look at it in terms of like this is like the movie that was supposed to be made. But to say that Superman Returns is a sequel to the Donna cut, which when the movie came out had never been released.
Oh god, yeah.
It makes no sense because he turns the Earth back at the end of the Donna cut.
It would. I know. I feel bad because the turning back the clock thing was supposed to be at the end of Superman 2. And they were like, we're never going to make a sequel to this.
Yeah.
And so they forced Donner to use the ending for the first one. And then crazy singer comes along after a weekend of molesting boys at the poolside and decides that he wants to make a sequel to a movie no one ever saw. Well,
Yes.
we all know he did it. You don't even say allegedly anymore.
No, not at all. The Family Guy had the best joke about it when like Peter Griffin is trying to get into Bryan Singer's birthday party, and the bouncer's like, "How old are you?" And he's like, "Younger than would be legal in any country." And he's like, "All right, come on in. Don't worry, you can tell whoever you want about this. Weirdly enough, no one cares about it."
Okay, all right then.
Yeah,
So
it's no, like I mean, look how hard, like. I'm gonna get on a soapbox. How hard is it to make a Superman like movie? Like, how hard is it to get that character right? Come on, people. How has no one done it yet?
I have a 2 degrees of separation away from Lauren Donner, who's Jeffrey Donner's ex-wife and ex-widow, I guess. Maybe now that I'm a big shot on this show, maybe I can parlay that now that I'm so big.
I think you can. I think you should use that to your advantage.
Yeah, well, I also just found out today I've got a 2 degree separation from CM Punk through my son. I didn't even know it.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that in private. That was interesting.
Yeah, they both have done work for CFFC, and my son never mentioned it. I don't know why, but I in doing the Lip Men on the UFL this week, I used some of the things, and we have a CM Punk short there, and he goes, "Oh, I know CM Punk. He doesn't like wrestling." I'm like, "You know CM Punk?" He's like, "Yeah, we've worked together a couple times." He's like, "We're not tight or anything, but I think he would recognize me and know my name." I'm like, "All right, well, you work on that, boy."
Do you know what? The last thing I want to talk about tonight. Cody just had this amazing WrestleMania moment. I wanted to talk about the WrestleMania moment that he was denied years ago. Do you remember leading into? I don't remember which WrestleMania it was, but we started doing this fascinating feud, okay, between Goldust and Stardust, where Cody was losing himself in being a Dust. And Dustin was like, "Hey man, like I've been where you are. I know that it's intoxicating. Like you got to back up." And Cody was just he was just this villainous Stardust now. And I loved this feud. It was leading to a match at WrestleMania. Dusty had gotten involved and then they just dropped it. Do you remember that, Kev?
Yeah.
They just dropped it before WrestleMania.
I'm bored. I think they blew it off on main event or something.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous. And like, dude, I so wanted it to happen. I wanted to be in the ring. I wanted them to have this because Dustin and Cody are the brother combination that actually goes out and has a good match. Like I've never their match at the first AEW show was spectacular. I still go back and try to watch that
in AEW history.
In AEW history, absolutely. I mean, they used blood correctly. It was just good. It was a great tribute match to their father. I mean, look, I know what I wanted the end of that match to be. Dusty comes out to help and turns around and blasts Dustin and finally reveals his ultimate form, Polka Dust. Imagine Dusty Rhodes as Polka Dust. Ending his career with that.
Came to see polka dust.
You will
have a
remember the name,
counter-proposal.
Daddy, of Polka Dust.
I have a counter proposal that
Go ahead.
thing that was on his stomach comes out and forms polka dust.
Oh, that was the first polka dot, really, right? So, the first time I ever watched a Dusty match, I was like, what did that man, because I was a kid, I was like, what did that man spill on his stomach?
I didn't
the
know what
next
it
time I'm
was
like, why
either.
is it
I
still
don't know
there?
what it is.
My
It's a
favorite
birthmark,
Vince Russo
obviously.
quote.
Yeah, but
I'll
it's
slap that
pronounced.
pretzel off your fat fucking ass.
Oh my God. Vince Russo. God. Okay. Chris O'Torres, thank you for the super chat. Says the problem is Vince has always loved the glitz and glamour of Hollywood way more than pro wrestling. I mean, look, I think there is something to that. I do think Vince legitimately loved pro wrestling for a while, but after a while, I think he got bored and he was like, like how Jericho got bored with wrestling and he wanted to go be a movie star and it didn't work out. Like Vince and Kevin Dunn hated wrestling after a while and just wanted to turn this into anything else.
Listen,
I don't know,
everybody that's in wrestling they feel like they're an organized crime. They want to get in. They want to get legitimate. Even The Rock, he tried the XFL and he tried to do this and the other thing, and then they're not working. Where is he? Back in wrestling. Vince was like a crime boss, and he wanted to be legitimate. He's basically Stringer Bell.
But another super chat. Awful wrestling with the super chat after he great fun. Thank you, Dose Kev, Triple H and Mob. Peace to the chat. All right, thank you, Dose.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
On the way out the door.
Please come again.
Yes. Oh man, but yeah, I mean, look, Kevin Dunn especially. Like Kevin Dunn hated wrestling, like notoriously hated wrestling, and
Yeah,
it's very clear when you watch the product now that Kevin Dunn was just collecting a check for like 20 years.
Dude,
The things we're seeing now, I mean, my
You know
God.
how much money he made? That we just he made $70 million before 3 years ago.
Kevin Dunn was in all his glory once he got to start doing Tough Enough and Total Divas and all that nonsense. He always thought he would be some legitimate Hollywood guy, but
I mean, there's that story that goes around that he was like Jennifer Peppermint, I think her name is, the one that went to AEW. So she has a daytime Emmy, or it was some kind of soap opera Emmy, and she brought it into a production meeting one time to, I guess, like show someone. And Kevin Dunn was furious, just because he's just a jealous, sad little man. By the way, I hope you guys in the chat appreciate the fact that I've been on camera for most of this show. It has been an ordeal. But no, I think it helps. I think it helps the show. Man, well, yeah, I try. I try. It takes me a while. I use product.
Apollo, your hair looks good too.
Thank you.
Always. It always looks good. Triple H thoughts. I'm sure yours does too. All right, guys. I mean, I'm kind of tapped on topics for this week, unless you guys got anything else.
I think that we're just under 3 hours. I think that's good for a free show. I mean,
I think so.
We can always talk about more wrestling, but I think tomorrow night is going to give us a few more gifts.
Oh wait, hold on. Awful's back. Awful, you're back after you paid the toll.
Yeah, doing a super chat is like, good Lord, it's like learning Chinese. Holy shit.
It's complicated.
Holy cow. But yeah, just wanted to say good night to you guys. Peace to the chat. Follow Marv the Movie Monster. Follow Dose. Follow Triple H's Thoughts. Follow Kevin Apollo if you can find him. But you guys have a good night. Peace.
All right. Thanks, Awful.
Take care.
See you later, my friend. Great guy. Love that guy. Okay. Wrestling Soup just Mish from Wrestling Soup just says, what hold on, what is the difference between sports entertainment and pro wrestling? That's a good question that I think gets asked a lot. Honestly, I don't know how to answer that. Kev, I feel like you'd be the one to answer this question. If you know how.
Well, because when we look at wrestling now, all wrestling now is sports entertainment. I think when you're talking pro wrestling, from Vince's perspective, right? You're talking like, you listen. Vince is talking old school Southern
NWA
wrestling, NWA, like
Vern Gagne versus Luthez in a boring, catch match.
Yeah. It's just it's a bunch of guys with a Southern drawl. Sometimes they're in terrible shape, sometimes they're in phenomenal shape, and they're just fighting for the prize, for the for the bigger payout at the cash window. Versus sports entertainment, it is larger than life. It is a little ridiculous. It is a little over the top. It does include people from mainstream, I would say, we look at how they handle NXT now, and really that was the brainchild of Dusty. When you're looking at early '90s WCW, and you see the influx of college football players who kind of washed out, because yes, NWA, old school. Those guys, a lot of those guys were all football players because football was very different back then. They didn't get paid when they weren't playing. So a lot of times they went to go wrestle, during the off season so they could afford to feed their families. But as time moves on and the NFL changed, you lost that. So instead of looking for a regular, Dusty tried to legitimize WCW by bringing in professional athletes. Vince wanted to legitimize the WWF by making it more accessible to everybody. So that included bringing in celebrities. It didn't matter where they were on the status tree. Liberace, Regis, Ray Charles, but especially Muhammad Ali, were the things that separated it. You were not going to see celebrities on NWA programming. You may get the occasional baseball player, but you're not going to get a box office performer like a Mr. T. That right. To me, I think that was the delineating factor. Was you guys cater to this small pocket here, and you do what you do, and it's worked this way for a couple hundred years. We're going to go over here, and we're going to do this thing that says everybody can come and play, and you may not get it all the time, but you're going to be entertained by it. They treat NWA. Wrestling was the sport. It was the tradition. These were the rules we played by. Versus WWF, it was just about the spectacle. And again,
let me attempt an answer at this, because the true answer is there really is no difference. I understand the modern distinction, but until you're buying tickets to see Greco-Roman and freestyle wrestling, you're not watching professional wrestling. The only professional wrestling I'm aware of is sumo wrestling. But if you want to make a distinction, you can. And the distinction is exactly how Apollo described sports entertainment is correct in Vince's vision of WWE, WWF, and even modern era. And I think fans, their distinction is the focus is on the in-ring action versus the out-of-ring action, and sports entertainment, the focus is more on the stories and the characters and less so on the in-ring action, and so much so that the in-ring action isn't so good. I think that's the false distinction. The truth of the matter is there's absolutely no difference. They're exactly the same. The difference between them is Vince was trying to get around being licensed by athletic commissions. It didn't work. They lost a suit to the World Wildlife Fund. There was appeals. They ended up settling it. Vince always wanted to be in entertainment anyway. We'd see our last discussion, and he stuck with it, and that's it. And guess what? His vision, however screwed up his thinking is, he's right. That is what appeals. We want to see our comic book characters fight. But listen, if in the Avengers, nobody would care if we didn't like Captain America, and if the villains weren't good, and if there wasn't a relationship between Bucky and Cap and all that. If you just want to see fighting, just see Fast and Furious movies, and that's how I view it. Like WWE, I'm not saying it's as good, but WWE is like the MCU when it was good, and AEW is more like the Fast and Furious, where sometimes there's cool stuff,
or like the current MCU,
or like the current MCU. And it's just the same thing. It's like watching the same cartoon over and over again. And
well, I've heard Jim Ross and even Cornette mention a couple times. Vince talk about sports entertainment versus wrestling. Vince is more about selling the sizzle than the steak.
Yeah.
And, the sizzle's all the glitz and the glamour and the entertainment and the stuff that, draws eyeballs. And, old school wrestling fans, they just want the steak. They want to see the good match. They want to see the hot tag. They want to see, their favorite guy overcome something that seems plausible. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So That to me would be the simplest explanation: sizzle versus the steak.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you know what? I think that's a great place to end it here. Our special guest this week, Triple H Thoughts. Thank you so much for sticking with us for all 3 hours of this show, man.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Yeah, you were true. You were definitely a trooper, and you added so much to the conversation. You are always welcome back.
Appreciate it. It was a great show, guys. Great.
Good meeting you.
Great show, great panel, great time.
All right. Dose, Kev, Awful. Thank you guys so much, as always. You guys are, Kev, thank you for your rant this week. Your Krogan battle rage.
Your
straight
promo.
from the hot Erd not Apollo. But yeah, thank you guys. And thank you guys so much. I don't think we dipped below like 170 people at all tonight once we got going, and we got over 200. Thank you everyone who super chatted. Thank you everyone who just regular chatted and who supported the show. I love you guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. You're all superstars. I don't care what Dose says. You're all superstars. So check in later this week. On Patreon, on patreon.com/TooneyTown Wrestling, I am gonna have the new song parody up. I'm going away this weekend, and I'm kind of facing a deadline outside of Tooneytown Wrestling. So I've been a little busy this week. It's been harder to get the content out, but it's coming. I promise you guys, even if it takes until Monday or Tuesday, I promise it's coming soon, and it'll be worth it. I've been cooking up some really good scripts. So, we'll see you guys then. Again, patreon.com/TooneyTown Wrestling. You get face lock features and you get song parodies early, and there is a song parody coming. So, for Triple H Thoughts, Awful Wrestling, Kevin Apollo, Evil Dose, I'm Marvin Movie Monster. Now get out of here!